How we doing, everybody, and welcome into Wisconsin Sports on the Go with Trage. I'm your host, Trage. We're back. It's Friday, a little bit of a weekend preview we got coming for you today. Always joined by Aaron here, my co-host on the show. Aaron, how we doing? Middle of October, October 18th. It's finally the weekend. How we doing tonight?
Pretty good, right? Pretty good. Yeah, it's getting. I hate to start out like this, but it is getting darker earlier every night around here. But we're doing all right, all things considered. Big weekend coming up as always in the landscape of sports, and at least the Mets are hanging on to make this NLCS a little bit more interesting because not the four teams I want, but hey, it's playoff baseball still.
I hate the Dodgers. I just hate the Dodgers. I hate the Mets too. Actually, I don't hate the Mets. I hate Jesse Winker. I got to be honest. I just hate Jesse Winker. Outside of that, I don't care. I really don't care outside of that. So, I mean, we just saw Anthony Page make it 10-5 there. So hopefully the Dodgers don't have a comeback brewing in them right now. That's not what we want to see. So lots to get into. You talked about it's getting darker outside every day now. It's getting dark in the state of Virginia right now because men's basketball coach Tony Bennet has just retired out of the blue. Before the season's going to tip off, Tony Bennett hangs it up, says I'm done. And that caught me off guard. I'm going to be honest with you. I did not see this one coming. Maybe you could have said further, like at the beginning of the offseason after they lost in the tournament there, maybe then you could have said, okay, Tony Bennett might walk away because his way of coaching is kind of out the door now with the new landscape of college basketball. This is 2 weeks. I mean, we're talking early November. The Badgers tip off November 4th. So you're talking early November. We're talking about college basketball, and Tony Bennett is walking away. So we have, I mean, I got what Tony Bennett said. I got a quote. It's from Jeff Borzillo. I don't know who that is exactly. I saw it. I don't remember if I saw it on Facebook or if it was on Twitter, wherever it was. I saw it out there. And he said, I asked Tony Bennett literally last week why so many people thought he could be the next Jay Wright and suddenly retire out of nowhere because Jay Wright retired out of nowhere too. Now Tony Bennett retires out of nowhere. His response was, I got to call Jay Wright and see what he says, right? I always have said when you're doing this, you're in this profession, whether you agree how it's going or not, you have to be true to yourself and really look at it and say, who am I? Can I operate how I want to? Can it be successful enough? And do you get to choose if you want to be a part of it or not? And when you feel it's time, like Jay did, like Coach K, maybe Saban, it's their choice, and you can sit here and complain and gripe, or you can have a decision to make. Either you try to do it in your way, or you get to make that, or you get to do it out of your way or in your way, whatever it is there. He said, so I think Jay Wright probably foresaw where this is going. It'll be better whenever there's regulations. Is that 3 or 5 years away? Who knows? But if it's not, those are decisions that every man has to make when it's his time. So Tony Bennett comes out. He says basically a week ago that times are changing. Hopefully there's regulations that are put in. You know, there was a reason behind Jay Wright walking away. He saw what was happening. There was a reason behind Coach K. There was a reason behind Nick Saban. And now Tony Bennett walks away. Baffled me. It baffled me. But then I really thought about it, and I was like, this is what is going to be a continuing trend, in my opinion, in college sports. Because you have these older coaches like Tony Bennett, like Coach K, like Nick Saban. Those guys are so used to we can do it our way. It's not a money game. It's not, I don't believe that Coach K and some of these other coaches weren't paying guys already, but it wasn't that game. Now everybody has the funds. Everybody's able to go out and grab players, and the transfer portal is wide open. And guys like Tony Bennett can't survive in college basketball and coach the way he wants to if the transfer portal's like this, if NIL's like this. Because who wants to go to Virginia and sit for 2 years or get into a system where it's defense first, right? That's Tony Bennett's big thing. It's all defense. You get some 54-44 barn burner games, but Tony Bennett won those games. So nobody wants to play for that kind of system anymore. So Tony Bennett, in sense, I mean, the way that he played, the way that he coached the game, the way that he wanted his players to play the game was out the door. And I don't know, Aaron, I'm worried that this will be a growing trend in college sports simply because these coaches are kind of being put in a different light now, and a lot of these guys can't handle it.
Yeah, times are. I mean, to say times are changing, I mean they've already changed. That's kind of the problem. So I mean, this is another guy. It's not like we're talking about, second tier or like just, subpar coaches. Like this is a guy that, has a excuse me, has a national championship on his pedigree there. ACC coach of the year 2014, 15, 18 and 19. So, yeah, pretty well accomplished guy. Um and I mean, you're just seeing the kind of the fall, the fallback from this is the way college sports are now. And there's you know some of these guys aren't going to admit it. Like this is kind of a domino effect. Like you're going to see more people, I'm sure, at some point here, whether it be this year or the next year or following, kind of go to the side of, I'm going to step away, and they might not say it. Like Saban kind of alluded to, he didn't, he said enough to where, you realize, well, this is more so, it's not his advanced age. It's more so the way college sports are going that, guys are stepping away and they don't agree with the way it's going. So, yeah, I mean, I'll kind of push it back to you. Are they going to change things, or are they just going to allow, um, coaches to coaches to walk away? And like, is this just, are we going to accept this out of college sports? Is this just the way college sports are going to be now?
Yes, yes, and that really emphasizes because I was gonna read what Tony Bennett had to say after he retired, and he went on to talk about that. He said, "I think it's right for student athletes to receive revenue. Please don't mistake me. The game in college athletics is not in a healthy spot. It's not, and there needs to be a change, and it's not going to go back. I think I was equipped to do the job here the old way. That's who I am." So, I mean, right there, he tells you, I can't coach in this new way. I can't do it. Like you're asking me to change my coaching philosophy to try and adapt to this new game, and I've done it long enough. I've been successful at it, like you mentioned there. ACC Coach of the Year multiple times in a row, won a national championship, was the first one seed to lose to a 16 seed. Like that's cool, I guess. He went down in history for that too. But it was the resilience to bounce back the next year, right? Went from losing that game to the next year going all the way and winning the national championship. So you're talking about a flip the script kind of guy there. But you look at the teams that he had, the way that he built them. You're talking about 4 to 5 year guys that were in his system. Now you're talking about you want Virginia and Tony Bennett to be a constant turnover. And, like he went on to say there, he says it's going to be closer to professional model. There's got to be a collective bargaining. There has to be restrictions on the salary pool. There has to be transfer regulation restrictions. There has to be some limits on the agent involvement to these young guys. And I worry a lot about the mental health of student athletes as all this stuff comes down. He nailed it. I mean, talking in his retiring speech there, he nailed every single piece of this, every single piece of what Nick Saban's been trying to say, every single piece of what Coach K would tell you right now if you asked him, or Roy Williams, or any of these old coaches, some coaches who are still in the game right now. You're talking about a professional model at this point, and you have no control over anything. The transfer portal, none of it. You have zero control. There's no contracts. There's nothing keeping these guys out of the transfer portal. There's nothing keeping these guys at your university. You don't know who's walking through the door tomorrow. You have no idea. Ask UNLV. I mean, they just had their quarterback and their running back in a 4-0 or 3-0 season. They both just walked out the door. I mean, how do you run a program like that? How do you expect coaches to be able to sustain success at a program if this is the constant turnover that they have to deal with? Yes, it might not affect Alabama and it might not affect Georgia or Texas because guess what? They have money. They have all this to keep the guys in the door. But guess what? Go ask Wisconsin. Go ask Rutgers. Go ask Maryland. Even Penn State. I mean, they're going to get to a point like this in basketball and everything like that because they have bigger sports at those schools. Go ask all these other programs who don't have the big bongo dollars to be thrown around here in multi sports, and see what they have to say in this situation. It is 100% what Tony Bennett's trying to say there. There has to be a restriction. I think Rick Pitino actually spoke on that about putting a salary cap, having a salary pool where you can only have so many dollars to spend. This was the transfer portal and everything like that. All I hear analysts and everything talk about is, oh, well, I love to see that, talent is spread out now. And you have a lot of programs that have built their way back in a year. And you have so much, talent around the college football world and everything like that. It's so great and everything like that. Okay, yes, it is. But then that next year, when they want to leave, there's nothing holding them back. They're gone. You could go from having a quarterback room full of 5 guys to a quarterback room with 1 guy. I mean, look at I can't remember what basketball program it just was. I think it might have been Louis or no, it's Kentucky. Look at Kentucky after John oh no, it was Arkansas. I'm sorry. It was Arkansas there. When John Calipari went to Arkansas, there was 1 guy left on the entire roster when he showed up. Now you had a coaching change and everything like that. So I agree guys should be able to leave, but now you got to build that team from the way back up. That's how easy it is. Guys can just walk out the door. There's nothing holding them back, no regulations, nothing. There has to be. There has to be something to keep the college game somewhat in order. There is no order. This is like the wild, wild west, and we're just supposed to watch it and just, I don't know, be excited at this point.
Yeah, I mean, all those things that you alluded to there, like, collective bargaining, a pool for the guys, that are transferring out, all of that type of stuff. Like like you said, Wild Wild West is the perfect way to put it because there's no. I'm not saying you have to regulate every last penny to, you know what I mean, but there's got to be some stipulations. Like this is just like, okay, you can leave here, you can go there. Like entire teams could be ripped apart. I mean, I don't know if you've seen the kid, I'm blanking on his name, the kid from Boise State that's up for the Heisman running back. But
Yes. What the heck's his name there?
yeah, I just went full screen. I'm a little lazy to go do the research right now, but I finally got that to work out there for me. But the
Ashton Jeanty.
yeah, he said, I could go. He's like, I have offers on top of offers on top of offers to go here, there, and everywhere, for an NIL deal or for just literally just to get paid. And he's like, I love the tradition here. I wanted to come here. I commend guys like that, but I can't say the overwhelming majority are going to think like that because there's guys that come from literally where they're starving, like they're starving in high school, like they don't even have money to eat, and like a school's going to say, hey, come to Colorado or come to USC, whatever it might be, and like your Boise States of the world, your whoever it is, Northern Idaho, right? Like how are these teams even going to have a chance? Like I get there's enough kids in the country, there's hundreds of thousands of kids playing sports, but at some point, like we talk about in baseball, the rich get richer. Like there's no way that some of these programs don't just get steamrolled eventually because it's weird. Like when you and Kyle and I were talking about the MAC conference, how they've kind of given some teams runs for their money. I could see it benefiting some, like if there's a MAC school out there that has some dollars to spend, luring a guy away from like a Michigan, a Texas, whatever it is, that's never going to see the field and on going there and getting playing time. Like it can benefit you in some aspects, but I still think the fallback from this is going to be a lot. Like you're already seeing it with all these coaches stepping away. Like it just seems like you couldn't have said it more perfectly when you say it's the wild wild west. It just I don't know when they're gonna make these changes or make these gonna step in and regulate something, but I feel like they have to, like at the end of, if they going into next season of, let's just say, college football, like if they don't do anything by then, it's like, when are you gonna do something?
You have to. You have to do something to make this a little more organized. And it's not going to be an easy process because you're going to have to get a players association. You're going to have to include all this crap into there. You're turning it into the NFL. That's what you're doing. You're turning it into the NFL, the NBA, whatever you want to call it. That's what you got in college sports now. So you got to find a way, somehow to regulate this. Otherwise, it's going to continue to be a mess. I mean, this Tony Bennett stepping away. I mean, he's 55 years old. Like, it's not like Tony Bennett is up in his 70s or, getting close to 80. He's 55 years old. I mean, that's not very old, and it's not nothing to do with health reasons that we know of, nothing like that. All it is that he can't coach in this current landscape. So, he's gone. You just lost one of the best minds of the defensive game of basketball in college sports, and I don't care what anybody says. I will argue that with anybody because look at Virginia's scores of their games. When you can hold an opposing college basketball team to 50 points today's day and age, when you can hold a team like Duke or whatever it is to 50 some points, hats off to you. Like you put together a heck of a defensive plan in that game. Maybe you only scored 40 points on top of that, but you held another team to 50 some points. So I guess you take your wins with your losses there. But I don't know. A legend in my mind walking away from the college world as of now. We'll see. I mean, maybe, just maybe he ends up coming back to a different program at some point. We don't know yet, but it's a wait and see at this point. So Tony Bennett done at Virginia and done with college basketball for now. So with that, I just wanted to mention before we get into the Badgers here. I mean, if you're watching the show tonight, make sure that you are commenting in. Make sure you're shooting out your opinions in there. We'd love to get you talking about what you got to say there, Badgers, Packers, NFL, whatever it is. We'd love to talk about it. So make sure you guys are in the comment section tonight letting us know what you think and what we're saying wrong out there, because we love to dispute with you too. We love that. We love to dispute with you over what we think in the college sporting world. So let's get Badgers Northwestern right away. Let's get the Badger game in here. 11 o'clock tomorrow there. It's going to be on the Big Ten Network. It's going to be from that craptastic field that they got down there in Northwestern right now. They knocked down the old stadium there. They're rebuilding at the moment. So now they're playing at that craptastic lakeside soccer field, bull crap field. I don't even know it's a disaster. It's just a piece of crap down there. I'm sorry. I don't mean to call it a piece of crap, but it is definitely not ideal. It is definitely not an ideal place and a terrible place for the Badgers if you are looking ahead. My biggest thing going into this game, the Badgers cannot be looking towards Penn State. They cannot overlook Northwestern. This is a 3-3 Northwestern team. They're not great. This isn't a great team by any means, shape, form, whatever you want to call it. This isn't a great team. But you cannot overlook this team because last year they came to Camp Randall, and I was just going to look up that score there because they trounced the Badgers. I believe it's like 21-7 or something like that. Let's see here. Pulling it up. 24-10 was the final there. They came to Camp Randall. They completely just dismantled you. They owned the trenches. And after the game, Luke Fickell said that it was embarrassing. He said that this game was embarrassing. They put up 17 points in the second quarter. They did all their scoring in the first half. They put up 24 points in the first half. You were down 24-3 at the half in Camp Randall against Northwestern, who was 5-5. They were 5-5. They were not a good team. And they came into Camp Randall and just trounced you. So you go down there now. First off, you got to just forget about that game unless you're going to use it for fuel for this one. You got to forget about that game last year because that was, like Luke Fickell said, an embarrassing game. He's been waiting for this game because he wants to put Northwestern in their place according to Madison standards. So we want to put them in their place. But this is, if you ever want to talk about a trap game, this is a trap game because you have Penn State on the backside of this. You cannot get caught looking forward. You have to look at this Northwestern team, and you got to win this game. You got to win this game against Northwestern because you have a stretch then after Northwestern of Penn State, Iowa, Oregon, and Nebraska, followed by Minnesota. None of those teams are pushover teams, not a single one of them. And I'm not saying Northwestern's a pushover team, but Northwestern, out of those teams right there, Northwestern is the team that I fear the least. That's the team that you have to take care of. So you're traveling to Evanston. You're playing at this craptastic field. I believe it's Evanston, isn't it? Is it Evanston where Northwestern is? I'm pretty sure.
I think so. Yeah, that catching me off guard with that one.
I'm pretty sure it's Evanston. I'm pretty darn sure it's Evanston, but I could be wrong on that one. Is it Evansville? It's at Laney and Sharon Martin Stadium is what it's called. That's what the stadium is called. Yep, Evanston, Illinois. There we go. It's Evanston, Illinois. Now we got it. Now we know we're right. We knew we were right. So, Aaron, let's look at Northwestern. Look at the stats for Northwestern. You got stats up for Northwestern there?
I do. You definitely caught me off guard with where they're playing. I mean, maybe a couple Northwestern fans know where they're playing. That's about it. I mean, really. But no, I mean, pulling up their stats here. I mean, offensively, to say they're challenged is probably an understatement. I mean, they're putting up 19.8 points per game. That ranks 106th in the country. Yards per game, just shy of 270, 129th in the country. Points per play, 91st in the country. Yards per play, 125th. So, I mean, you look down the offensive ranks, they're very abysmal. I mean, they are just not at all, cut for offensive football this year. They're just not playing a good brand of offensive football. Their defense usually is like, I'm not going to say it's Iowa level defense, but their defense is usually not like it's never really bad. You know what I mean? So on the flip side, especially with having basically no offense, You look at their opponents' points per game, 21.4, 36th in the nation. Opponents' yards per game, 376, 62nd in the nation. Opponents' points per play, 24th in the nation, and yards per play, 44th in the nation. So really not when you consider, a team that doesn't score a bunch of points and their defense probably living on the field basically. Really not too bad. If you look at this from the flip side of like how can Northwestern win this game? Wisconsin is still struggling to stop the run. Now, they're not giving up many points. So that's the positive for if you look at it, Wisconsin. I mean, if you give up 500 yards rushing, but you give up 6 points, who really cares, right? That's you can kind of look at it that way. But that's really the only way. I mean, the spread set at the last time I saw 7.5 for Wisconsin on the road. I mean, that's not like insurmountable for Northwestern, to kind of stay close. I mean, that's only an 8-point game when in all reality. But yeah, I mean, Northwestern can't really pass the ball to begin with. That's their that's where they struggle. So if you look at this from a matchup standpoint, Wisconsin defends the pass really well, one of the best in the nation. So you got to think Wisconsin's just going to load the box. I mean, if I'm Wisconsin, I'm going to say, beat us on the ground because you're not going to beat us in the air. And then, if they pull off a big play here or there, I mean, you kind of live with that. But yeah, I mean, if Northwestern wants to stay in this game and potentially pull an upset, they're going to have to run the ball. And that's the thing. Like, can they do that on a consistent basis? That's really like I just said. I mean, Wisconsin giving up just 13 points in the last 2 games, but they do rank 13th in the Big Ten in rushing yards allowed per game. So yeah, they've only faced one top 50 rushing attack in the first 6 games. So if you look at it from Wisconsin or from Northwestern's point of view, if you can't run the ball, you're not winning. That's point blank period, in my opinion.
Yeah, and you mentioned in the stats there, the big thing for Wisconsin in this one is going to be controlling that run pass option that Northwestern loves to run. Because, like you just mentioned there, Jack Lausch, he's not going to beat you with his arm. I mean, he's got 726 yards on the year. His completion percentage is 53%. So he's not going to beat you with his arm. Now, like you said, how can they beat you with that run game? It doesn't look like Cam Porter's got a boatload of yards, 272 yards on the year. Not fantastic. But you look at the run pass option that they're going to throw at you in this game here. Look at Jack Lausch. He's got 141 yards on the ground here. So controlling his legs in this game is going to be big. You mentioned the Badgers. They have a good pass defense. It's the front for the Badgers. In this one, it's going to be a lot about the linebackers for Wisconsin. Jake Chaney and company. Can they control that run game? Can they keep Lausch in that backfield? Make him beat you. That's what if you're going to lose this game, if Lausch goes for 4 touchdowns and 300 yards in this game, if he does, okay. Like you walk off and you say our pass defense wasn't as good as what we thought. Like that's what you walk away saying. If he beats you on his own just by making throws, great. I mean, that's great for him. But if you look at the stats right now, if there's one way that if you're Tressel, if you're in charge of this defense right now, you're saying to yourself, okay, Chaney, my linebacker core, you guys have to keep Cam Porter, you have to keep Jack Lausch in check. You have to keep him in the backfield. You got to put pressure on them. You got to make them make throws. You got to make Lausch make a throw in this game. So that's a big thing I'm watching is that linebacker group in the secondary for Wisconsin, keeping Lausch in that backfield. If he does escape, making the tackle. No broken tackles, no missed tackles. Make the tackle out there, gang tackle, whatever you got to do. Make Lausch beat you in the air. So that's something big I'm watching in this game. And you also mentioned there the pass defense for Northwestern, not great. 261 yards per game they're giving up through the air. That's not to mention over the past 3 games there, they've given up like 300 yards there against, I believe it was Indiana through the air. They've had a couple games now where they've given up a boatload of yards through the air. So in this one, can Wisconsin create big plays? Will Braden Locke in this offense, we've seen it the past couple weeks against Purdue, against Rutgers there, Braden Locke, Vinny Anthony connecting, Trek connecting with him out there. Can Braden Locke deliver once again? Make those explosive plays happen. That's going to be huge in this game against Northwestern. Blow the top off the defense because what I want to see the Badgers do is feed Tyree Walker. This guy has been fantastic, Aaron. I mean, Tyree Walker, he's making a case for himself right now to get some kind of award at the end of this season, the way that he's been running the football as of late here. I believe I was just going to look up his stats here. Let's see here. Let's look at Tyree Walker. Let's look up his stats here. 81 carries, 439 yards, and he's got 9 touchdowns on the season already. That's fantastic. That is a back that deserves a lot of touches in every single game. And this offensive line has given him that opportunity to create big plays, explosive plays out of the backfield too. So that's another thing. Last season, I know it's a season apart, but Northwestern came into that game. They were firing. They were hitting us in the trenches, and we could not win the game in the trench. We have to win the game in the trench. The offensive line has to continue to progress, as they have been week after week. They have to continue that progression forward there. And then we got to see Tyree Walker bust some things off. I mean, if he continues this stretch, man, oh man, Wisconsin's going to be talking about another great back coming out of Wisconsin at the end of this, because he has been fantastic. Especially you lose Ches Malusi and insert Tyree Walker into a full-time role. This guy has been fantastic. You got to love that there. Let's see here. Northwestern, I got my notes in front of me. I'm just going through my notes here that I had about this game. Northwestern, like you mentioned there, they're good against the run. They've been good against the run this season here. So if that run game for Wisconsin can't get going, if they're doing a good job controlling guys like Tyree Walker, or if Dupree's in there, whatever it is, they're doing a heck of a job controlling it. But then what? What do you do then? I think this is a moment where you get other guys involved, and not other guys involved, but you involve the backs through the passing game. Dupree in that passing game, get you out of the backfield there. Let him get into maybe you do a halfback screen. Maybe you find ways to get your backs involved into that passing game there, because I don't want to see, if Wisconsin can't get the run game going early, I still want them to respect Wisconsin's backs. And I think a big way to do that in this game is to have them involved in that passing game. Whatever you got to do in this game here to get them involved. Dupree's been good in the passing game so far. So maybe you get Dupree in that sense involved in that way. I think that works out well. Northwestern's got a couple good linebackers. So something that Wisconsin is going to have to avoid, and Braden Locke is going to have to avoid, is going over the middle. Because you have Xander Mueller, linebacker there. He's been fantastic this season. He actually leads the team in tackles on the year. And then Mac Julian, linebacker there. Both of them with 41 and 38 tackles there. They've been fantastic. They're athletic. They get after you. They're going to control that middle of the field. So avoiding throwing dangerous passes into that middle of the field there, because those guys will clean it up. They'll make plays, and they get into the backfield. I mean, both of them have a sack. Yuleen has 2 sacks on the year, and then Mueller has 1 sack on the year. So watch out for those guys on that defensive side of the football there. Getting off the field on third down in this game. Getting off the field on third down. Northwestern has their backup kicker in right now because their starting kicker is currently banged up. He's on the injured list so far. So they're going to have their backup kicker in there. Make Northwestern beat you with the kicking game. Don't allow Northwestern to sustain long drives. If you get to a third down, if you get to a third and long, find a way off the field. That's going to be a big thing for this Badgers team here. And, I mean, you mentioned it before, but you can't overlook Cam Porter. You can't overlook him there coming out of the backfield. He's got the ability to make big plays. He's got the athleticism to make big plays. Don't overlook him in this game, because if you do, this will get ugly fast. This is a game for Wisconsin that it cannot be you cannot think of it. You cannot think about Penn State. You can't sit here and worry about Penn State. You cannot look ahead. This is a game where you got to play all 4 quarters. Like I said, you got to go to this craptastic place in Evanston down there. You have to go to it. You have to play in front of the lake there. That's about the only bonus to it. But this is a place where there isn't going to be a lot of crowd noise. There isn't going to be any of that. You got to bring your own juice in this one. The Badgers have to find a way to bring their own juice into Northwestern and win this game by themselves, right? They got to find a way to create their own energy and win this game by themselves here on the road against Northwestern, because you have a tough stretch of games coming up after that. So, Aaron, anything I missed with that Northwestern-Wisconsin matchup? Anything you're looking for in this game?
No, I mean, you hit on the fact that, I mean, I think Wisconsin having a good offensive line is kind of like a staple at this point. That just seems to be, there's programs out there that just, like Ohio State always has receivers, right? Wisconsin always, I mean, Ohio State has everything. It's almost like not fair. But Wisconsin's known to have like a good running game, in my opinion, and then a good offensive line. That's just that you can almost bank on. So like the fact that you would just want to assert yourselves against, like I said, I mean, to me, Northwestern's never like a pushover on defense. It just seems like they're kind of like they're like a I don't want to insult them. It's a dumbed down version of Iowa to me. Like they have a decent defense. They don't have Iowa's caliber defense, and they don't have really a great offense. And like that's how Iowa plays. It's just one of those things there. So no, I mean I think you pretty much hit on everything. I mean, once again, it's conference play. It's not like Wisconsin's playing Northern Dakota State. Like you can't take them lightly, like you said. And going on the road, I don't really care where you're playing. You gotta bring your own energy and like on the road, that's kind of you get battle tested. I know this isn't an atmosphere where it's like, oh my goodness, scared to go into this atmosphere. No, it's not that, but you're bringing the show on the road. So at the end of the day, you just got to, remain focused. If you're the Badgers, like you said, not jump ahead to Penn State. That game will come no matter what. So you got to focus on the here and now. Northwestern this week, it could be a close game. The way Wisconsin's rolling, I tend to think it won't. But it's conference play. It's on the road. You never know. But Wisconsin is on a burner right now. It's just can they keep that level of play up? But that's what we'll see come tomorrow at 11 your time, 12 my time. So
Should be a good one. Should be a good one. What do we have? Score prediction in this one. What do we have?
You go first. You go first.
I'm going to take the Badgers. I'm going to take the Badgers 31-17. I'm going to take 31-17. I think they'll handle their business. It's going to be about controlling the trenches, controlling the turnover battle. You cannot afford turnovers if you are Wisconsin. Maybe force a couple here and there. And then when you get in the red zone, punch it in the end zone. That's going to be a big thing in this one, controlling that aspect of the game here.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna lean a little bit less for what's like 28. I'll say I'll be right on the edge of that spread, like 28-21. Wisconsin. I just feel like this, you know, not that the Wisconsin can't pull off three blowouts in a row. It's just maybe they're due for like a test, like at least a not a struggle, but you know what I mean, like a back and forth type of game where it's grind it out. It's a grind it out game. Northwestern shows up on defense. I expect them to. Just they're not gonna, and maybe that 21, like they get late. Maybe it's really like it feels like a 10 to 14 point game, and then barely cover the spread type of deal. Northwestern sneaks it in there, but yeah, Wisconsin. I still think Wisconsin is the better team, more talent, better offensive line, better running game, like just all the way around. They're better. It's just, they just got to show up. That's really what it is.
Agreed on that one there. So should be a good one there. Hopefully the Badgers will improve on the season here, and we'll be talking on come Sunday. We'll be talking about a Badgers win, and I mean, moving on to Penn State, a big week. We'll have a big week there talking about Penn State, Wisconsin. Aaron's giddy for it. It's a night game. We can't wait to talk about it there. So let's get into the rest of the college football slate. Let's look at the big games, and then let's look at what's going on in the Big Ten. So, biggest game, I guess you would say, well, you got a couple of them. You got a couple here. The biggest game I'm going to say is going to be Texas and Georgia. Number 1 Texas, number 5 Georgia. That's going to be in Austin there. A 6:30 kickoff for that one on ABC. What do we think? I'm going to take Texas. This is the most complete team in college football is Texas. Texas is, I mean, you lost Quinn Ewers. You brought in Arch Manning. You didn't skip a beat. And then you switched back to Quinn Ewers and you still mop floor. Like that doesn't tell you what a good football team is. I don't know what does. I like Texas in this one. I think it's going to be a dogfight. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. Texas to win this one. The spread right now is 4.5. I think Texas will cover.
I don't know, man. This one to me, I feel like Texas is due for a loss. I'm not. I'm going upset alert here. I can't guarantee it. I'm not Joe Namath with the Jets back in the day. I'm gonna guarantee the win, but I just feel like Georgia is not slept on. Like they're number 5, but it feels like nobody's really talking about Georgia because I mean they are number 5. You know what I mean? We're used to them being 1 or 2 or 1A to 1B to Alabama really in past years, and I just feel like Texas is a damn good football team. Let's not get it mixed up at all. But I just feel like Georgia. I mean, the only loss they have is to an Alabama team, which I mean that's kind of questionable because we've seen Alabama struggle lately. We've seen Alabama had to grind it out against South Carolina. We saw Alabama lose to Vanderbilt. So I mean, how good is Alabama? That remains to be seen. That will play out the way it plays out. But I just I don't know. I like Kirby Smart. I think Georgia just shows up for I think they shock the world on not shock the world, but I think they pull off the upset. I think it's gonna be a close game. I mean, you said spreads at like 4.5. Um, I think it might even be less than that. Like maybe Georgia wins by like a field goal or something. But um, I can see it from both sides. I have that gut feeling that Georgia just kind of pulls this one off for some reason.
It's going to be a good game. I'm right with you. You know, I believe that Georgia could win this game, but Texas, man, that's a complete football team, and that's a tough out right now. That's a tough out right now. So I like Texas in this one, but should be a good game there on ABC. 6:30 start for that one. Next up, we got Alabama Tennessee. That's a 2:30 start. That's going to be right before the Georgia Texas game. So a lot of good games in the SEC. I'm going to tell you what, it's in Knoxville. They're favoring Alabama. They're favored by 3 right now. They got the spread right now. I'm going to take Tennessee. I have not liked what I've seen out of Alabama the last couple weeks. I mean, you go from that Georgia game where you were running away from it, and then all of a sudden Georgia comes storming back, actually takes the lead at one point, and then you get saved by Ryan Williams making a fantastic catch to win that ball game. And then you look, I mean, then Carson Beck threw the interception late. And then you look at the game against Vanderbilt. You lose a game to Vanderbilt. Following week, you play South Carolina. If they had any kind of quarterback, you might actually lose that game. So I'm not impressed with Alabama. It's in Knoxville. I think Tennessee wins this game. I really do. I think Tennessee wins this game.
Oh man, this is even more tough for me than the Georgia Texas game, just because I mean it's hard to rule out Alabama. I mean, this isn't Nick. We got to remember this isn't Nick Saban Alabama anymore. So, not to take anything away from the current regime and things like that, but I just it was like in Saban we trust almost at one point. So, yeah, I mean, if you're looking at recency bias, Alabama has not looked good at all. Really, I mean, they've done enough to scrape by, but I mean, if you look at Tennessee last week, Florida's not a very good team. 3-3 after that loss to Tennessee there, unranked, obviously. And, it took overtime for Tennessee to pull that one off. Nico, what is it? Lama Levia or Lama Leva?
Yeah, it's a rough name. That's a
Kinda,
rough name.
yeah, I don't think I'm gonna get that one right all year. But the Tennessee quarterback, I mean, he's not playing bad. Um, he's a freshman, so I mean, take that with a grain of salt. I guess you could, but I mean, 6'6", big kid, but 7 touchdowns, 3 picks. QBR of QBR is 81st in the country, so not gonna blow you away there. Um, I don't know, man. I maybe for to make it fun, I'll take Bama just to oppose you, 2 straight games and make it interesting. I think I just feel like this is another team in Alabama that's this is a what are you made of game because the media's talking that Alabama's not the same. Alabama's not the same without Saban. Like they have a lot to prove, I think, in this game. It's going to be a test. It's SEC, but um, I just feel like Tennessee doesn't blow me away enough for me to be convinced that they're going to win. So I think Alabama rises to the challenge, but I think this is an absolute grinded out type of game again. And Alabama probably still doesn't. There's probably some guys around that still don't forget about that. The game winner that Tennessee hit on them a couple of years ago, that like 60-yard field goal or whatever, some madness. So yeah, I'll take Bama in a close one. I kind of hope Tennessee wins, but my gut is telling me Alabama again.
It's two games right there that I believe are going to be dog fights. Two games right there are going to be dog fights, and they could go either direction. And either way, we're going to be excited to watch them. Unless it's a blowout, maybe one turns into a blowout. I don't know yet.
Yeah.
If one does, I think it would be the Texas Georgia game. Could turn into a blowout because if Texas starts the game like Alabama did against Georgia, Texas isn't going to roll over and die halfway through. Like, they're not going to roll over and let Georgia come back on them. That'll be over if it gets to that point. So, I mean, that's the game that I could see turning like that. So, let's look at the Big Ten slate. We got a couple of good Big Ten games I want to watch for there. The first one has got to be Oregon and Purdue. Like, that is going to be, no, that's not going to be a great game. Oregon and Purdue is going to be, that's tonight here. That is going to be a complete, that's not going to be a game. That will not be a game. It's in West Lafayette, though. So maybe Purdue, if Purdue pulls off the upset of the century, like, we're talking upset, we're talking 6-0 Oregon coming off of a win against Ohio State, who is also undefeated at the time. You go and face 1-5 Purdue on the road, and Purdue just beats you. Like, that would be awesome. That would be awesome.
I mean, Purdue's got to be still fuming at that Illinois game that they ran. They came all the way back in that second half and pushed it to overtime and then lost like that. That's a back. That is like, that's either going to make your guys, hey, we're going to, I don't care who's in front of us next week, we're going to come out with our hair on fire, or they're going to just be, completely checked out. Cause like that's, oh man, that's talk about backbreaking in a season they've already not played well. So it's like, like, what are you made of here? What do you got? If you're and like you said, they're at home. I mean, at least, if they wanted to go out there, I wouldn't even give them. I mean, they might as well stay on the bus. They might as well not even get off the bus.
If the spread holds true, I don't know if you got the spread in front of you. Do you have the spread for this game?
I don't know.
No. What do you think the spread is for Oregon and Purdue? This is a game where if you looked at the spread, you might not get off the bus either.
I'm going to say like 47.5, something like crazy.
Oh, you're not giving Purdue enough credit. It's 30. They're giving them 30.
Okay, all right. I mean, the way Oregon's scoring points, the way Purdue is, just dropping at every game. They've won one game this year, and like that huge win over Ohio State. Like, I was like, man, I could see this being a 55-7 game. Like, you know what I mean? It could. I hope it's not, but I could.
They're putting the total at 60.5.
Yeah. So it's going to be like 40 to 20.
If Purdue gets 20, moral victory. Like, that'll be a moral victory if they keep it within
20. Who was it in the comment section that the Vikings guy, right? Dustin, yeah, he told us how bad Oregon's defense is. So, if you can get in a scoring fest, that's the only shot. I mean, there's no way you're stopping them. It's just, can you throw up a 40 burger on them?
I don't think Purdue's offense can exploit what's wrong with Oregon's defense. I don't think that is the case in this one here, but we'll find out. We'll find out on that one. So we got our Saturday matchups. Here. This could be a good game. 11 o'clock, Nebraska, Indiana. 5-1 Nebraska, 6-0 Indiana. Kurt Singetti's a madman. They play in Bloomington. If they played in Nebraska, they wouldn't even be there yet. They'd get there about 2 hours from now, go straight to bed, and then go straight to the field in the morning. This guy's a wild guy. But he is doing a fantastic job with Indiana right now. And Indiana 6-0. I think they get to 7-0. This game's in Bloomington. Right now the spread's at 6.5, but I think they'll cover that. I love this Indiana team. I do. The defense is great. The offense behind Rourke has been fantastic for him, and Kurt Singetti's a fantastic coach. So I like Indiana in this game to move to 7-0. And the quest is on then. The quest is on to see if they can somehow beat a big team and find their way to a conference title.
This is a tough one for me to pick. The only loss Nebraska suffered was to Illinois, but if you look at it that way, who have they really beat, right? That's the problem. So they beat UTEP to start the season, then Colorado. Colorado's, so they have their problems. Northern Iowa, they're in that Illinois game they lost. Then they beat Purdue by 18, which that's not very impressive on its own right. They beat Rutgers by a touchdown. So yeah, as much as people were kind of falling in love with this Nebraska team early on with Matt Rule and everything else, are they that good? I don't think they're 5-1 sounds good, but then you kind of break it down and it's kind of I'm not gonna say it's a fake 5-1 because you can only control who you play, but it's just there's not much substance there. This Indiana team is cooking, and surprisingly so. New coaching regime comes in, and they're kind of off to the races, which really makes me scratch my head why why Penn State hired Tom Allen, because Tom Allen left Indiana as the head coach, came to Penn State as the defensive coordinator, and I have my questions. So they were not good under Tom Allen either. So there's that. But yeah, I mean, credit to Indiana. They've won decisively. I mean, they haven't played. They played UCLA. They played Northwestern last week, Maryland. So they haven't had like a true hardcore test yet. But the fact that it's in Indiana, I'll take Indiana. This might be a closer game than people think. That's the only thing I could kind of lean on Nebraska, that they make it a game. I think Nebraska plays pretty hard from what I've seen. Like I've seen a couple, like I saw a first half from them, a second half the other week, just here and there sprinkled in. But I have seen Indiana in totality against Maryland, and they looked really good, albeit against Maryland. But yeah, I think Indiana survives this game. Like I said, it might be closer than people think, but they get the win.
I like it. I like it there. Indiana moves to 7-0, and they make an interesting storyline, especially if Oregon loses to Purdue. Oregon loses to Purdue, and Indiana moves to 7-0. They're top of the Big Ten now, so that'd be a storyline right there. We got a couple of not so interesting games going to be happening. UCLA, Rutgers. I think Rutgers will win that game in Piscataway. I mean, they're playing at home against UCLA. That should be a win. Iowa, Michigan State from East Lansing. That could be a good game there. What do you think? Michigan State, Iowa. I'm going to lean towards Iowa to win that game just because their defense is still pretty good.
Yeah, Michigan. I mean, you talk about a fall from grace. I mean, I remember Michigan State a few years back. They were like Big Ten contenders, and like how we like to do contender pretender. They're pretenders nowadays, which I don't mind seeing that. But it's yeah. I mean, both teams sitting unranked. Iowa 4-2, Michigan State 3-3. Yeah, I don't know. This Jonathan Smith from I don't know if it's really on him. He comes in a kind of a tough situation there for Michigan State. I don't know how long he's going to survive there. To be honest with you, they haven't played great. But yeah, Iowa, as much as Iowa doesn't have an offense, as always, I mean, that's like literally a staple of their program. No, just don't even recruit on offense, just recruit defense, and we'll be fine. They will outlast Michigan State in East Lansing, and Michigan State will drop then 3 games in a row. I mean, tough stretch. Ohio State, Oregon, and now Iowa. That's a tough stretch. And then Michigan. So good luck with that, Michigan State.
Gotta agree there. Gotta agree on that one. We got another one, USC and Maryland. I think USC bounces back in that game. They're favored by 7.5. I think they bounce back. Though it's on the road, I think they'll bounce back against Maryland.
Yeah, we're definitely seeing eye on that. Maryland, after a decent start, I mean, they've really fallen off. I don't really can't point to why that is. But yeah, Maryland's having a really rough go at it for their. I mean, last couple of years they've started out like 4-5-0. And now you're looking at a 3-3 football team, so not up to what they want to be playing at. USC, I mean, gets their heart broken against Penn State last weekend in Southern Cal. That's the only thing I could see is, do they have a hangover game? And then they got to travel. They lose that heartbreaker in overtime, and then they got to travel all the way to the East Coast. I give Maryland a shot, but I think USC will put up enough points to put them away.
I agree. I agree with that one there. Last ranked matchup that we got to talk about, Michigan, Illinois from Champaign. I pick Illinois to win this game. They had that scare against Purdue last week there. I don't think Michigan's got a great defense, but their offense is atrocious. They don't have a quarterback. I think Illinois is going to win this game at home. They're going to knock Michigan out of the top 25 and finally quit to talk about Michigan for the rest of the year.
As much as I want to say that, I have to lean Michigan here only because I don't trust Illinois' offense. Really, I don't. So I think Michigan will eat them alive on defense. I just don't think Illinois is built. After watching Illinois play Penn State, which Michigan, I will gladly give Michigan the fact that they have a better defense than Penn State does. But Penn State ate them alive in that game. I look for more of the same on defense with the Michigan front. Is just I mean, good luck with that. Good. Those boys in in Champaign don't really know. I don't think they know what's coming on the offensive line. I just think they're gonna be steamrolled half the day. So I mean, talk about a grinded out game. This could be like a 21-17 type of game. But I think unfortunately Michigan outlasts them, and then Illinois kind of falls out of the top 25.
But not forgotten. Only 2 losses, not forgotten yet. They're still in
Yep.
it. They're
Still
still in it.
solid, but not great. I mean, you're looking to make that next step, and especially at home. I mean, I hope you're right. I definitely hope you're right. I just think Michigan is still men among boys on at least the defensive side of the ball.
Usually when I'm right, I'm right, and when I'm wrong, I'm really wrong. So either I'm right, they're gonna win, or it's gonna be an ass kicking. One of the two. One of the two is gonna happen there in Champaign. So can't wait. A great weekend of college sports. We got the Badgers. We got. I did not. Penn State's got that other bye week, so they got another bye week. So we got
Second
nothing to
bye
talk
week,
about.
weird.
Nothing to talk about with Penn State, but a lot of good college football all the way around. So we can't wait to check that off the list there tomorrow. But right now, I want to get to we got a couple guys backstage. They help us get the show ready to go. They give us topics, everything like that, talking points, everything in between. They're going to be jumping on the show here and there to do segments, talk about certain sports, everything like that. So I got a post, or not a post, but a quote from our newest guy, Hunter. We have Cody Peters. He's going to be running a little bit of our fantasy side of it with football. He's going to get in, talk MLB every once in a while. And then we got Hunter Steinhoff there. He is a Badger fan, but he's also a Bear fan, and he's a St. Louis Cardinals fan. He's a little bit all over the place. He's kind of odd like that, but he loves Wisconsin hockey, men's, women's. He loves watching Wisconsin hockey. So he's going to be our big hockey guy. So he gave me this. I mean, I didn't even have enough time to prepare like this guy does here. He's got a whole bunch of talking notes that he wanted me to go through tonight. So this is where I'm going to start. He said, the 2024-2025 Wisconsin Badgers men's hockey team, it's been a season of significant changes and new beginnings for the Badgers. Last year, we saw the graduation of 8 seniors, including standout goalie Kyle McClenn, who not only earned the title of Big Ten Goalie of the Year, but also took home the prestigious Mike Ricker Award. 5 of these seniors have moved on to sign professional contracts, leaving some big skates to fill. I mean, you lose guys left and right like that, it's hard to replace that fast. So a lot of turnover, right? That's what he's saying in that opening statement. A lot of turnover on this Badgers team there. He said the season kicked off with a thrilling exhibition game against number 12 Omaha. I always forget Omaha is semi-relevant in hockey. I always, you see like college baseball and some of these other sports, and like East Carolina is relevant in baseball, or some of these universities you forget about when you're just watching like basketball or football and stuff like that. So number 12 Omaha, where the Badgers clinched an overtime victory on the road. They then faced Lindenwood on opening weekend, splitting the series. Lindenwood secured their first ever victory against a Big Ten team, while Wisconsin's win also came in dramatic overtime finish. Looking ahead, the Badgers are set to open Big Ten play this weekend against Ohio State. Last season, Wisconsin was 3-4 against them against the Buckeyes, and notably knocked them out of the Big Ten tournament. This matchup promises to be an exciting start to conference play as both teams look to establish themselves early in the season. This guy, he went through it all right there. He's not even on the show tonight here, and he gave me this whole monologue or a dialogue, whatever you want to call it there, to read off to you guys there. But he will be on Sunday. We're going to get him on the show on Sunday. We're going to talk to him about this Ohio State matchup over the weekend. We're going to talk to him about looking the outlook of the season here for this men's hockey team there. And then we're also going to look at the women's side there. The women have been successful over the years there. We're definitely going to be talking to him about the women's side of the hockey and see what he has to say there. So we can't wait for Hunter to join us there on Sunday. So make sure you guys are tuning in on Sunday and check that out there. We watch a little bit of hockey, us both here. We watch a little bit of hockey, but not to the extent that Hunter watches it there, especially with Wisconsin hockey. So he's going to give us the lowdown on everything we need to know Wisconsin hockey there on Sunday. So stay tuned to the show coming up there. So, Aaron, let's get to our fact of the day here real quick before we get to the Packers-Texans matchup we have coming up on Sunday. So what do you got for me? Fact of the day.
Let me you know what? I'll be transparent with the listeners. I did not remember this on this day, but doesn't mean that we are shot. We are going to pull up the fact of the day right now let me get my trusty trusty website here. What's a good fact of the day here? Okay, here's one. Puerto Rico was turned over to the United States following the Spanish American War in 1898. So, not a sports fact. I mean, pretty much we've been hitting on kind of not political, but just like, government facts or government history. So there's another. I mean, pretty interesting, right? People kind of forget that United States like has control of Puerto Rico. Like it's one of those like nobody really talks about it. I don't know. I've never been to Puerto Rico. Never been out of the country actually. So, um, yeah. I mean, it's something, and it's a little tidbit. I apologize. I definitely dropped the ball. I kind of did an Aaron Rodgers there against the Bills. I just kind of I threw the pick at the end of the game. I tried to recover it, but I just I blame the receiver. I blame the research department, not myself, because I'm Aaron Rodgers. You know what I mean?
I don't know. I thought it was a great fact. I mean, I didn't know that the U.S. got Puerto Rico on this day. I did not know that. So now we do. Now we do. A great fact of the. You mentioned politics there, and we're not going to make it political. I'm not talking politics at all here. But if you are a part of the politics talk out there, I guess a lot of people know of the guy Charlie Kirk, right? He's a big
Mhm.
Republican conservative guy, and he was seen at the Oregon Ohio State game, and he was wearing earplugs at the Oregon game. He's an Oregon fan. He was wearing Oregon gear when he went in there, and he's wearing earplugs. And I saw this other show, and I hate when I have to rip on other shows, but it was so stupid. They're sitting there and they're making fun of this guy. He was such a dork wearing earplugs. Why is he wearing earplugs? And then after the fact, he actually posted a picture of him, and I believe it was his wife were at the game there. I think, if I'm thinking of it right there, and he actually edited the earplugs out. So there was a picture before it and there was a picture after, and he had the earplugs in and then he edited them out for the picture. And okay, first off, how do you know that he didn't take two pictures and maybe his wife was like, "Hey, maybe you should take the earplugs out for this picture because it doesn't look that good," something like that. But these two doorknobs, right? I'm gonna go nothing more than to say doorknobs when I say it. These guys are doorknobs. I don't even understand how they like. I don't even know. But they're sitting there and they're like ripping into him, right, for wearing earplugs. Like, this guy's a loser. He should have, he's got panties on, everything like that. And of course, me being me, I got in the comment section and I was like, who the actual heck cares? Like, who cares? This is what we're talking about now. Some guy went to a football game and he put earplugs on. He's in Eugene, which, if you listen to the game on the TV, you actually had to turn it down, not because of Kirk Herbstreit talking in the background or whoever it was, the announcers that night, not because of the announcers. It was because the crowd noise was that loud. So if this dude wants to put on earplugs to walk in there, put on earplugs. I went to a rock concert at US Bank Stadium. I believe, what was that night there? Motley Crue was there. Uh, I'm blanking on who else was there. Oh, I got him on the top of my head, but I can't remember who the heck was there that night. Oh, there's like four different bands there that were there that night. But I had earplugs on. It was louder than crap. It was bad. It was terrible. Like, my eardrum, my body was shaking. That's how loud it was. I had earplugs in. So you want to call me a loser for doing that? Sure. Call me a loser for doing that. Like, I put earplugs in. I don't care.
Oh,
I don't care. I will confess that to anybody. I put earplugs in because guess what? I hurt my ears at work one time, because I work a lot of construction sites, everything like that. So you got the rattling, you got hammer drills, whatever it is going off there. I messed up my ears. So now my ears are sensitive to loud noises. It's not an excuse. It's just me telling you. So if Charlie Kirk wants to wear earplugs into a football game and he's still enjoying the football game, who cares? Like, who actually cares? If this guy was not if you and me walked into Eugene and we were wearing earplugs and we took a picture and we posted it on social media, nobody cares. Not a single person cares. But because Charlie Kirk did it, well, now this dude's a loser. Now he's got his panties on. Now he's this. Now he's that. It's like, shut up. Just shut up.
and it's one of those things like I'll gladly talk politics off the air with anybody. I definitely I'll put it this way: I'm a Charlie Kirk fan. I like what he does. I think I'm whatever view you have, that's fine. I'm not going to tell you you're wrong, but he he goes around and does what he feels like he should be doing or what whatever. That's the stance he takes on, like if you watch him, what stance he takes. But yeah, I mean, whether you're Republican, Democrat, Independent, like I think we've gotten to the point in this country where it's just like if you don't like somebody, like the old saying of like if you have nothing nice to say, like that couldn't like no one abides by that anymore. It's like literally like Trajan could be wearing a Packers hat and it has like the tiniest I don't know like a stain on it, right? And some Bears fan will be like, "Oh, look at that stain! What a loser! What an idiot!" Ever like every other Packers. It's just like, I mean, I get it. The internet is like, I mean, we don't want to see your freedoms get taken away from the internet. I think we've already seen that enough, and people have been canceled for. I mean, you tell me. I don't know why, but the fact that just like people on the internet are, I mean, like I went I went on the Yankees Twitter or X last night because they lost on a walk off. I knew the comments were gonna just be like just the most crazy because like New York fans are crazy to begin with, and then like all these Cleveland fans are piling on them. But it's the same way it goes. Like I get trash talking and stuff like that. But like some people, I mean, we're not going to change anybody's opinion. They're going to post what they want. I'm not telling anybody hey, mind your manners. But I mean, if you go on X sometime and look at just comments on a team winning, like if when Penn State beat USC, like it's just like people are. I mean, it goes. It doesn't matter what. There's definitely fan bases that are worse, and definitely there's people in the political world that certain people in the comments are just going to be ruthless. But I don't know, man. The internet is a it's a dog eat dog world. It's a shame. I don't think many kids should be reading stuff nowadays on the internet because I mean, if you want to talk about colorful language, go on X. X is like,
Oh yeah.
I'm an Elon fan and everything else, but it's I think you have to be an adult to really partake in reading some of the stuff on there because it's not the best for some people's mental health. I'll put it that way.
No, exactly. And love, hate the guy, it doesn't matter. Love, hate the guy, it doesn't matter. No matter who it is, if you want to wear earplugs into a football game, you by all means wear earplugs into a football game. Like I don't care. Like you
What's the
have
big
guys
deal?
walking around shirtless who look like they've been sitting at McDonald's for 14 years straight, and that's it. You have guys sitting there like that with their shirts off and their bellies painted up all bright yellow, and it's like I respect that dude. I respect that dude over there. Like you do what you want to do with your life, but I agree. I mean, social media is a bad place to go, especially for athletes too, because I mean, Jalen Carter hurts Jordan Love down there in Brazil opening night, and the amount of threats that he got to his life and everything like that. I mean, that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous in its own right there. So I mean, whatever. I just saw that on social media today, and it got me riled up because now I'm pretty sure I started a thread of comments on TikTok, like 50 some long, almost 100 at one point, I believe, because people are just commenting back at me or commenting back on other people on my poll or on my, who the heck actually cares take on it. And then like some guy said, well, he's a loser. And then the next guy would say, why? Like, what are you talking about? I love starting. I love starting it and then just letting it go. You don't comment back. You comment once and then you just let it go because then the whole world jumps in there and they just blow you up. And it's fun. It's fun that way. So we gotta move on from that. We gotta get Packers Texans talk because this is a showdown that was destined for Sunday night football, and yet it's on at noon. So I don't get that one. We got the Jets and Steelers in prime time instead. Whatever, I guess. That's the better game of the day. So that's okay. So we got Texans Packers CBS at noon. It's a whiteout for the Green Bay Packers. They're doing their winter warning game. I got a question for you because I posted on social media and the Vikings fans are all fueled up right now. So I'm going to try here. I'm going to try and do a share screen. I'm going to try and get, let's see here. So we got the Vikings Winter Warrior uniform. So let's pull this one up. Let's pull this one up here. Oh, there we
Ooh,
go.
those are
We got
cool.
it pulled up. Can you kind of see that there? Can you kind of see
Yeah,
that?
yeah, I
So
like
that's
those.
the Vikings winter warning or winter. They call them the Winter Warrior uniform. So that's what the Vikings have, right? They debuted them, I believe, last season there. So now that you got the Vikings taste, you got the taste of the Vikings there. Okay, let's pull up the Packers. This is their whiteout uniforms that they're going to be representing there. These are No, that's not even a picture of the Packers. Give me a second there. Give me a second. Somebody butchered that picture. Somebody butchered me there. Let's see if we can get a good one here. If we can get a good one right here. Right here. Is it up? Do we got it now? There we go. So this is what the Packers uniforms will look like on Sunday there. Kind of got the gist of them both.
Mm-hmm.
So I posted it to TikTok, and Vikings fans, they all go ballistic on me because they're like, "Ooh, looks familiar. Wonder where you got that one." And then I can't remember what the one lady said. I posted it, and she said something in the comment section about, original name, where'd you get it from? Because they called it the winter warning game. So she said, original name, where'd you get it from? And my immediate thing was the National Weather Service. So that's what I just sent to her. I was like, we got a siren going off outside. There must be a fire or something going on. Not my house. We're good. But so I put the National Weather Service is where I got it from there. So, but the comment sections were copy the Vikings crazy, like blah, 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 blah. I just want to say right now, there is a lot of color rush uniforms out there. They went with a white uniform for a winter warning game. So I get you're like, oh, they're copying the Vikings. Da 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 da. They're not copying the Vikings. It's a white uniform. It's a white concept to a uniform. What else were they supposed to do? They didn't, go complete white like the Vikings did. They didn't go anything crazy. There's actually a little bit of green there in the helmet when you saw it there. So, I mean, Aaron, what do you think? What do you think between the two uniforms and Vikings fans going ballistic over this one?
Yeah, I mean, I could see why they are a little, only because it's a division, right? Like anything to just kind of poke fun at the Packers. Like I would expect the same for, like, if the Cowboys did something, then the Eagles would say something. Like if this was the Chargers or something, and then the Packers unveil a uniform similar or whatever, similar name, whatever, along the same lines, whatever. I could, nobody's going to talk about it, but because it's Vikings, Packers, it's like Brewers, Cubs. Like if somebody on the Cubs did something, then I can see why. I gotta be honest, man. I do kind of favor the Vikings jersey at least. I think those are pretty cold. I hate the purple ones. I really do. I hate that purple to me. I like if I'm taking a purple, I'll take the Ravens purple. If we're breaking down jerseys, I don't that purple that the Vikings wear is hideous in my opinion. And then the flat, what is it, the matte purple helmet. None of that looks good to me. And that's not. I much rather like the Packers jersey. I mean, that's classic. That Steelers, Packers. I guess I got to say 49ers too. Unfortunately, I hate the 49ers, but those are like just staples of the NFL. Like if you're talking that, but I would argue that the Bengals, like that white tiger, is cleaner than the Vikings. That's definitely up there as far as if we were just talking white out jersey. When they debuted that, I was like, that's actually crazy. I didn't think they'd ever actually wear it. I thought it was just like a concept, and then they do wear it. That helmet just looks just wild. I mean, it kind of looks, for lack of a better word, like lingerie or something. But I mean, to each their own. Vikings fans, you're just, I don't know. They're just trying to ruffle your feathers, Trage. That's what they're trying to do.
They just got to do it to me. They just got to do it to me there. So we're going to get over it. I almost fired you halfway through that talk because you started talking highly of the Vikings, and then you dialed it back and said their other uniforms looked like crap. So I hired you back on.
Yeah, they're crap, just like their 0 rings, right?
Well, that's true. See, that's true. Now you're back in. You're back in. You were fired midway through the talk, and then I hired you midway through the talk. So you're welcome. You're welcome on that one. So we got Packers, Texans. We got a lot of talk, chatter in the Packer world right now. I've seen a couple different people saying, Jordan Love, looking at some of his throws, he had that touchdown throw against the Cardinals last week there to Romeo Dobbs, and he kind of just tossed it up there, and Dobbs made a great adjustment, made the catch in that one. He had one to Reed where Reed was in triple coverage, ended up making a catch in that one. And a lot of people out there saying that Jordan Love with another bad throw, they keep saying another bad throw, and another great catch, and another great catch. At what point are you going to accept that it's not a bad throw? It's just sometimes, some way, your receiver makes a great catch. You put that ball in a spot where you think that your receiver can catch the ball, and that's just plain and simple. I don't know, Aaron. I guess there's a lot of Packer fans there who are still not sold on Jordan Love, and they just want to find ways to just I don't know, tear him apart, find ways to tear him apart. They don't want to be wrong that they said he was a bust 5 years ago, so they want to hold on to that, so they keep bringing up crap like this. But then you got Patrick Mahomes. He leads the NFL. I believe he still leads the NFL in interceptions, doesn't he? So you're talking about a guy who leads the league in interceptions, being Chris Collinsworth's best player to ever walk planet Earth. So how is Jordan Love, where he's playing like this, you're talking about him saying it's another bad throw?
See. We just talked so much negativity on social media. I think it's the same thing with like some of these analysts. Like who's that? Who's that one analyst? I forget his name that rips into Burrow like every week. It's like
Chris Canty on the morning show on ESPN.
yeah, it's like dude, if you can't see that he's not the problem there, like you shouldn't even talk football in my opinion. It's the same thing with Jordan. Like whoever's gonna like, because Jordan Love, like he doesn't have that. Like I don't even think he has that household name yet to like Purdy, right? Like Purdy's been around. Like everybody knows Brock Purdy, right? Like they pound it in your brain. So now like Jordan Love's starting to get some more steam. I mean, this is another season he's going to play here for the Packers. It's a marquee franchise. And like somebody's got to be who's going to be the guy that says he sucks, right? Now there's going to be this guy that's like, look at this, Jordan Love. His receivers are bailing him out. Like, as much as I hate to like just cast negativity on people, I think the media is part of is the ones fueling this, right? Like, watch somebody will come out and say Mahomes is falling off a cliff here soon. Like remember when Max Kellerman kept saying Tom Brady's falling off the cliff. This is the year Tom Brady. Like, you know how much noise that made. Like these guys are just they're prima donnas, just like some of these players are. It's I don't know. I mean, if you want to talk about a guy that's like not playing well, why don't we talk about like Dak Prescott, right? Like Dak Prescott gets benched. I mean, they get run off the field against the Lions. Like, I don't know. Jordan Love hasn't played bad enough to where you're like, oh, what's up with Jordan Love? Like, they're winning games. What? He threw for, I forget how many touchdowns last week, but like he's playing good. Like, you know what I mean? Like four touchdowns, 2 picks, 22 of 32. Like, just leave the guy alone. Like, you know what I mean? It's the media is such a, I don't know. That's just my take on it, but there's got to be some, I mean, Jalen Hurts deserves all the criticism in the world. So I'll be the first to say that. I mean, Deshaun Watson, I guess he's getting his, but nobody really cares that the Browns are so bad. It's like, why are you going to pick on a guy that's winning, Like,
Yep.
and it's not, I kind of picked on Brock Purdy because he just was making basic throws. I mean, Jordan Love has far more ability, in my opinion, than like a Brock Purdy does. Brock Purdy might be efficient, most efficient or whatever, but it's this media is garbage.
Jordan Love reminds me of Brett Favre. That's what I got to say with Jordan Love. Like when Jordan Love throws a football, he is going to fit. He's going to attempt to fit it in the tightest window in the world, and he does not care if it gets picked off. That was Brett Favre. He's just going to sling it, and that's what Jordan Love does. He just slings it. A lot of people want to say that he learned behind Aaron Rodgers. He might have. He might have learned a little bit from what we saw from Aaron Rodgers there, but Rodgers was protective of the football. He didn't throw a lot of interceptions. That was his big thing. He was very conservative. Not Brett Favre. Not Brett Favre. Brett Favre was slinging it wherever he wanted to sling it, and if it got there, it got there. So I love what I've seen out of Jordan Love. So like you said, I mean, I'm not going with the hater talk right now. Jordan Love is just fine. We got this winter warning game coming up here. Packers, Texans. You got a Packers team which has a great offense. I think the Packers offense is great. I think their offensive line is slowly coming along. Tucker Kraft has been fantastic. Just got to keep him healthy out there. And then you got the wide receiver group. Jaden Reed's been fantastic. Dobbs is back. He was great. Watson, if he stays healthy, is huge on this team. He has a ton of leadership potential to him, too. So you got to watch Watson, not just in that area, but also in that leadership room there. And then you're looking at other guys, Dontavian Wicks. You're looking at Josh Jacobs coming out of the backfield there. You have Emmanuel Wilson, who we drafted in this last draft, running back there with a ton of potential. He's on his way back. And then, not Emmanuel Wilson there, Marshawn Lloyd on his way back. Emmanuel Wilson already in the backfield there, and he's been great this year. Messed up my 2 names there, but I knew what I was saying in the backside of it there. Marshawn Lloyd coming back from injury. Emmanuel Wilson been fantastic so far this year. So the Packers offense has looked great. The defense is a bend but don't break defense. What is the craziest part, and I've heard a lot of people say it, the craziest part about the Packers defense is that they lead the NFL in takeaways. I believe they have like 17 takeaways. They lead the NFC North in takeaways so far this year. You have that great of a takeaway percentage there if you are the defense, but they do not pressure quarterbacks. That's what I think is the craziest thing about the defense for the Packers in total is that if you looked at their pressure rate, which I don't have that stat, I don't even know where you'd find that stat, but their inability to put pressure on a quarterback is unreal. Outside of the Tennessee Titans game where they had like 8 sacks, outside of that game, they don't get to the quarterback a lot. So their ability to make teams turn the football over while not putting pressure on a quarterback is almost unreal. You don't get it because you look at these teams. You look at how you force turnovers, right? When you think about forcing turnovers, what's the first thing you think? Well, if we put pressure on you, let's just say, CJ Stroud, and we make him have to make a quick decision, he's going to make a mistake, right? That's the immediate thing you flip to is putting pressure on a quarterback. That's going to generate turnovers. It's not. Somehow, some way, the Packers, Xavier McKinney, you look at Evan Williams forcing fumbles out there. He's actually the highest graded rookie right now in the safety room for the Green Bay Packers. You look at Javian Bullard there. I mean, that guy, you listen to Halfley talk about him, he's an all-around defender. You can slot him in the nickel. You can throw him back there at safety if you want. He was so high on him because of his ability mid-season to switch positions. He's a natural safety. He's been playing safety since he was at Georgia. He's a natural safety. Halfley moves him up then into a slot corner kind of guy there. He's playing in a nickel. That isn't his spot. He hasn't played there in years, right? And now he's all of a sudden transitioning to that spot, and he's been doing fantastic in it. You look at the Packers' ability somehow, some way to create turnovers while not creating pressure. I don't know. It's unheard of, I guess you would say there. So I look at that fact, the Packers' great offense and a bend but don't break defense. And then I look at the Texans coming into this one. They have a great offense. Now they're without Nico Collins. So that's a huge loss for the Texans. No Nico Collins in this game. You still have Joe Mixon. You have Damian Pierce back. You still have Stephon Diggs, and you still have Tank Dell, who's having a fantastic year. The Texans' offense is still very good, right? And then they have a very good defense anchored down by Will Anderson coming off the edge. So you have a great offense and defense in the Texans, and you have a great offense and a bend but don't break defense in the Packers. My biggest question in this game, because the Packers haven't really, if you look at the Packers schedule, and I know I rip on the Bears because they're 4-2 and they haven't played anybody. If you look at the Packers schedule, they haven't played anybody yet either, right? They played the Eagles. They lost to the Eagles. They beat the Colts. They beat the Titans. They lost to the Vikings. They beat the Rams and they beat the Cardinals. They haven't played anybody yet and beat them, right? So this game for me, this is going to tell me a lot about the Packers. Because if your defense, if you are Green Bay, you need a good defense to win the Super Bowl, right? You need a good defense to make a deep playoff run. You can't win it just on the offense. You got to be able to slow down teams because if your offense goes cold, you need a defense. So this game is going to tell me a lot about the Packers defense, Jeff Halfley as a coordinator, and also what my linebacker core can do in this game. Because I look at CJ Stroud, I look at Joe Mixon. Those two have the ability to get out and run. Joe Mixon in the run game, he's big time. And then he's a hard guy to tackle, right? And then you look at CJ Stroud. This guy can sling it. This guy can run it. He can do everything that you need him to do. What is this linebacker core for Green Bay going to do? What is the defensive line going to do to try to contain CJ Stroud and keep him in the pocket? They've done well against mobile quarterbacks so far this year, but what does CJ Stroud possess that a lot of those quarterbacks didn't? First off, great quarterback capabilities, right? The ability to find an open receiver, the ability to notice that the pocket's collapsing and find a hole to get out of there, right? Good quarterbacks know their exit routes, and CJ Stroud is fantastic. So this game is going to tell me a lot about the Packers defense and what they are made of, because if the Texans come to town and their offense, if they run all over you, CJ Stroud has a fantastic day, and you just get completely, the offense does its thing, right? The offense is still playing good, right? But your defense gets completely stomped in, and you lose a game. Let's just say it's like a Ravens-Bengals game, 41-38, right? You lose that game 41-38. I don't feel good about the defense moving forward then. And then if I'm Green Bay, I know Green Bay doesn't like to waste draft capital. We love to we hold on to our picks like a I don't want to say a chubby kid with candy, but I want to say a chubby kid with candy. Like a Wisconsinite with a beer, right? Like a Wisconsinite with a beer, right? We hold on to that we hold on to our beers up here, right? We're not letting nobody else touch our beer. That's what the Packers are like with draft capital. They don't want to lose it. But if the Packers defense struggles again in this game to create pressure and to make CJ Stroud uncomfortable in this game, I don't know what you have to do, but you got to find a pass rusher somewhere. I don't know if you're going to go out and get Max Crosby, but maybe you call the Browns. Maybe you get a guy like Zadarius Smith, who was in Green Bay at one point. Maybe you get him back. Maybe you call the Browns. I don't know if they'll get rid of Myles Garrett, but Myles Garrett, Hassan Reddick out there with the Jets. He's not happy with the Jets. He's looking for a trade. Maybe you call out there. You've got to find a pass rush somewhere. And if the Packers cannot find a way in this game to prove to Packer fans or anybody out there that this defense can put pressure on a quarterback, can slow down a run game, they got to find help somewhere. They have to find help somewhere. And if Quay Walker struggles again with the run in this game, I am calling for Edgerrin Cooper to start over Quay Walker in the mic, because right now Quay Walker struggles to get off blocks and he struggles in the run game. If he can't do that, Cooper has done nothing but prove to you that he can be fantastic. I would love to see him get more time in there. So, Aaron, I mean, I just spewed off a lot there between the Packers and Texans. But what are you seeing right now with this Packers team? The defense has struggled a little bit. Are you seeing anything looking at the stats right now where you're like, this could tilt the game one way, this could tilt it another way? What are you seeing right now in this matchup?
Yeah, it's this to me feels like a high scoring game, right? Like I don't see how it's not going to be at least somewhat of a shootout. I mean, both these offenses can put up points at kind of will. These teams don't really meet each other very often either, so it's not like you're going to have. It's not like Packers Bears or Packers Vikings where it's kind of you kind of know the tendencies. It's going to be a little bit more unpredictable, I would say, just based on the fact they don't run into each other. I mean, spread set at Packers by 2.5, so if you'll figure a field goal. It opened at 3.5, now down to 2.5. I mean, that's pretty normal. You know what I mean? It's not out of the realm of possibilities. It's not like it started at 7.5 and now it's at 3.5. Then I'd think, well, why is it closing that far? But no Nico Collins. That is a big one. I mean, obviously the Texans go out and get Diggs in the offseason, so that proves to be true in this matchup. Like that's some depth that you'd want to see a team have. Just in case, like you say, Nico Collins goes out, boom, next guy up type of deal. I don't know. As far as I mean, Stroud's sixth in the NFL in passing yards, a little over 1,500, 10 touchdowns, 4 picks. But Jordan Love is tied for second most touchdowns with 12. Let's see. Mixon's questionable, but he'll probably play. Tucker Kraft questionable, but he'll probably play too there for the Pack. A couple of guys on the. I mean, from what you read up on is, I mean, they say Christian Watson questionable, Jaden Reed, or all those guys probably. I mean, you would think they're probably all going to go.
I was going to go over the injury report here in a minute, but I can give you. Let's see here. I can give you the report straight out of Green Bay, who practiced, who didn't practice, that kind of thing there. So we look at the Green Bay Packers. Everybody practiced outside of Devontae Wyatt. He is still out, defensive lineman there. Outside of that, we had guys limited. Jair was limited in this one. Tucker Kraft, Jaden Reed, Christian Watson was limited. I would go on the side to say that everybody is going to play. I'm not going to go as far as maybe somebody. I don't know. If there's going to be a guy who doesn't play, it might be Kraft with that groin injury. It might be Kraft with the groin injury. Outside of that, I see everybody playing. Jair, he's got to play, right? Him and Stephon Diggs have a history with each other, so he's got to be out there. He already missed his date with Justin Jefferson. He needs to get out there and play against Stephon, because otherwise Stephon's going to be chirping. I can't wait for that matchup, because those two have been face-to-face before, and it was cinema, right? It's cinema. It's always cinema with Jair Alexander. He starts the fight. He doesn't finish him. He starts the fight.
Exactly. Yeah, and I don't know. This is a tough one for me to I can really. This is one of those I really can see going either way. I mean, you give Green Bay the upper hand at home, but this Texans team, like every time last season, I kind of counted them out, or I was like, they won't win that one. They proved me wrong, and they've not that they've played anybody big yet. I mean, they beat the Bills. That's a good quality win, but like you said, the Packers haven't really beat anybody great. The Bills are the best team. The Texans, it's not like the Texans beat the Chiefs yet, or you know what I mean. So I don't know. I mean, this is really going to be to me. I know this sounds cliche, and anybody can say this. Any analyst in the world can say this, but it's who's going to bring the A game, like who's going to show up for 4 quarters. You know what I mean? Like, and to me, I feel like this could be a battle of the turnover game too. Like the turnover margin. Like if the Texans turn the ball over twice and the Packers have a clean game, the Packers get the win. If the Packers turn the ball over twice, the Texans play a clean game. Either way, I feel like this is one of those like the disparity between matchups and the disparity between rosters isn't big enough to where like unless I mean barring something crazy, maybe Green Bay sees a weakness in Houston's defense, boom, they exploit it, and anything can happen. But to me, in my gut feeling, it's a game of, like I said, who's going to show up for 4 quarters, who's going to take care of the football, and who's going to put long drives together, that type of thing.
No, I agree. I agree. And the Texans, when they sustain long drives and they get in the red zone, they're number one in scoring touchdowns in the red zone. So that's a stat you got to keep an eye on there. But they also are 28th in allowing touchdowns in the red zone. So you flip the coin there on the Texans there. So it's going to be about the Packers. When the Texans get into the red zone, they forced a couple red zone turnovers against the Cardinals last week. Can they find a way, like we were talking about earlier, to put pressure on CJ Stroud, to slow down Joe Mixon, and find a way to, I don't know, stop Stephon Diggs in the red zone, right? Find a way to stop the Texans when they get in there, end it with a field goal, right? Get off the field on third down, end it with a field goal. A win, but a loss, right? You give up points, but you're not giving up points. So that's a big thing you're watching in that one. I mean, forcing turnovers, like you said, the turnover battle could be the big part in this game. We just talked about before how the heck the Packers find a way to be one of the top teams in takeaways on the season while also not creating pressure is a stat that it's like an anomaly. Like, I don't understand it. I'm trying to understand it. I don't. But it's something to keep an eye on in this one because Jordan Love, if he plays a perfect game, okay, the turnover battle isn't as, dicey as what you would say. But Jordan Love, like we talked about, he likes to try to make things happen. So when you have a quarterback who likes to try to make things happen, sometimes they're going to make a mistake and throw a pick. So can the Packers on the defensive side of the ball, can they find a way to force a turnover in that right? That's something we're watching for in this one. McManus is going to be kicking for the Green Bay Packers. It's a find out, right? I mean, this guy, he just walked in. I love when I can't remember if they're talking to Pistachia or if they're talking about LaFleur, but they're talking about McManus and what they've been doing with him and how he's been preparing right for his first game with the Green Bay Packers. And they go, he kicked, and then he kicked yesterday, and then he kicked the day before that, and he kicked, and then he kicked, and it's just like what else are you asking of this? Like, what is he supposed to tell you? Like, we had him do this, and we had kicking's not, it's hard. It's a hard thing to do, right? But at the end of the day, like, you can't scheme kicking. There's nothing crazy about kicking, right? You snap the ball, you make sure the laces are out, and then your holder, make sure the laces are out, and then you kick it, and it goes through the uprights. Like, what else are you supposed to practice for? So, like, it's a very open-ended question by reporters there asking about McManus. But that's a storyline too. The Packers still have not figured out the kicking situation. Hopefully McManus can be that guy. I really hope, because I'm sick of every single week trying to figure out who's going to be the kicker in Green Bay, because this is a never-ending trend. And like we were talking about defenses, they get you a long ways in the playoffs. They get you into the playoffs. They get you a long ways. You got to have a kicker when it comes down to the postseason too. You have to have something figured out where if you get a 44-yard kick, you can almost it's not a guarantee, right? Al Michaels would like to say that 50-yarders are a chip shot, but I don't believe him. I saw a post. It was on Twitter. If anybody wants to see it, it's on my page there on X, Wisconsin Sports on the Go with Trade. But I can't get it to pull up now. It was a meme, and they had Al Michaels on there. I'll see if I can't get it to load. It's being goofy on me. Now it's being goofy. I can't get it to load up. But it was something. It's like it was like, kicking from 50 is a chip shot now, and it's Al Michaels. And then it's a picture of that Stewie from Family Guy, and he goes, what about us? And it's his Packers, and it's like, what about us? Like, I found that hilarious. I found that hilarious there. So,
Have you seen just to mention, you're talking about Al Michaels there. Have you seen how bad to speak on commentators? Bob Costas with the Yankees Guardians I mean, he couldn't be more of a homer for the Yankees. Like, and he doesn't even get remotely excited. Like, even when the Yankees do something, it's like it's the Al Michaels effect in the NFL playoffs to Bob Costas in the ML. Like, you got to get. I think we got to go regional with these. As much as it's going to be hard, if you hear a Brewers announcer or a Tigers announcer, like, yes, they're going to be more excited when their team does something, but like it would be so like having these what do you want to call them, like the production guys, like these network guys do the playoffs. To me, I mean, like, you have your Joe Bucks, I mean, you have your staples, but like some of these, for lack of a better word, you got to put these guys out the pasture. Like Bob Costas, man, rough. And then Al Michaels. I'm an Al Michaels guy, but like he's way past his prime at this point.
Respect to Bob Costas, but yes, I mean, it gets to a point with the national side of it where when they don't know half the guys on the team and they don't know who it is until they flip through their little book, like, okay, now we got to do something about it. Now we have to change something. I agree. Regional should be the way they go. I got the post to pull up now. It says Al Michaels' 50-yard field goals have basically become a chip shots for kickers. And then it goes Packer fans. And it says, are you trying to hurt me? Question mark, because you've succeeded. So yeah, I mean, we have problems. We have problems. It's in that kicking room right now. Hopefully, McManus is the guy to figure it out there. So a couple of the keys. We went over a boatload of them there, but one of the big ones for me is this Texans special teams because they have a couple good returners there. I mean, we don't talk about special teams a lot, I guess, but you look at Robert Woods, you look at Steven Sims there. Both of them have just about 90 yards returning on the season there. Their average for Robert Woods is 30 yards per return. That's impressive. Like, that's setting up a good field position there. And then Steven Sims, he's sitting at 29 there. Both their longs are over 30. They haven't housed one yet, so I'm not going to say like it's, wild or anything like that. But those are definitely guys where you're looking at special teams. You got to find a way, if you're not going to kick it through the back of the end zone and just get it over with, you have to find a way to control those guys from bringing it out, right? Because once they bring it out, these guys are explosive. So you got to watch out on that end of it there. And Fairbairn, he does his thing in the field goal room. He's 86% on the season there. So they got a good kicker. They got a good kicker down there. I believe he had a walk-off kick for him already this season. So dude's got ice in his veins. He knows what he's doing out there. So that's something to keep an eye on there. And then looking at the defensive front for the Texans, Daniel Hunter and Will Anderson Jr., the Packers' offensive line has got to be big in this game. They got to find ways to protect Jordan Love. They have to find ways to give Jordan Love time back there in the pocket and to make throws. That's something I'm watching for in this game here. They got to find ways to protect, right? Get, even in the run game, get Josh Jacobs going, get Emmanuel Wilson going, get your run game going, and give Jordan Love time to make his throws out there. Those are going to be some of the big things that I'm watching for in this one. Also, on the defensive side, I'm watching Rashawn Gary. I keep watching him week after week. Last week, it seemed like he was getting closer to putting pressure on a quarterback. We paid him all this money. It seemed like he was getting closer to putting pressure on a quarterback. This week, I want to see him get a sack, right? I mean, I did a preview for the season, and I think I had Rashawn Gary as a lock for like 12 sacks. He might be on pace for like 5. So there's a big difference there from what Rashawn Gary is getting paid to do and producing for you right now. So that's something to keep an eye on too, is Rashawn Gary in this game. That's a guy I'm keying in on. Evan Williams there, he does it all. He controls the run game. He controls the pass game. This dude, if he continues on this track, there must be a rookie of the year in the NFL. He's got to be up there for rookie of the year in the NFC because he is the number 1 rated safety. He is also the number 1 rated overall rookie in the NFL right now, according to the Pro Football. What is it? The Football Focus or whatever they call it. The rating there. The ratings that they give him or whatever. He's the number 1 guy. He's actually ahead of Xavier McKinney. And McKinney's got 6 interceptions on the year already. I mean, he's unreal. So he's ahead of McKinney right now. So that's big company to be in and have 2 of the best safeties in all of football, according to Pro Football Focus. That's what it is. Pro Football Focus. That's what I was thinking of. Sometimes, you forget things. I almost signed up for it today. Did you know you had to sign up for that crap? It's like $30 a month just to look at Pro Football Focus.
Yeah, they're off their rocker on that one. And to kind of talk to what you just I mean, I can't spit out words today. I don't know what it maybe it's a Friday, maybe it's just like I'm cooked, like I'm sautéed for the week, but like goodness sakes, like every time I try and make a point, it's like I don't I'm like what's his name? Tiki Barber. Remember when he had that fumble issue where it's just like every game he's fumbling? Like that's how I feel when I'm trying to talk today. It's driving me nuts. I mean, it's good the Eagles aren't on. This mic might get thrown across the room. I can't talk. I can't, watching the team's painful, just the whole 9 yards there. But yeah, the whole 10 yards, whatever. But it's yeah, I mean, Packers defense, like what do you think? Are you on the same wavelength that this will be it just feels like there's no way this will be low scoring, right? It just doesn't set up to be that.
No, no, this is not a low scoring affair by any means. If it's gonna swing one way, if there's gonna be a team that I would say I don't want to shoot against my Packers here by any means. But if there's a team that's going to like put up a couple more touchdowns, it would be the Texans just because the Packers defense has had its struggles this season. I do think the Packers are going to step up to the occasion. I think Jeff Hafley is a very good defensive coordinator. He's been around the block. He understands what it means going into this game, and he understands the game plan that he has to come up with for CJ Stroud and this offense. So I'm not going to say that the Texans are going to blow the Packers out because I don't think they're going to. But if there was a way that this game got out of hand, it would be in that range. It would be towards the Texans in this one. I just think the Packers offense has been playing very well so far. And a big thing that I'm watching for in this one is I want to see them keep it balanced, right? The big thing about, making offenses work is you can't be overly reliant on one thing over another, right? The Cowboys right now, they're trying to just throw the ball around because they have no running game. And look what the Cowboys are doing down there. The Packers have been successful this season. I know it's against bad teams, but I mean, heck, look at that game against the Titans. Now, people can say they've had a bad schedule. The Titans have a very good defense. That is a very good defense in Tennessee. So, a very good defense there. You found ways to move the football without Jordan Love, right? Without Jordan Love, you found ways to move football. I think Matt LaFleur is going to draw up a fantastic game plan in this one for the Texans defense. It's going to be a question of if the Packers can execute in this one. And like I said before, the offensive line is going to be huge. If the Packers are going to win this game, the offensive line has got to give Jordan Love time in the pocket, and they have to find ways to open up holes for Josh Jacobs and this run game because Josh Jacobs has been impressive so far this season. I love when he runs. It's not just that he, gains 5 yards, but he falls forward and he gets another two, right? He always falls forward and he turns you up another couple yards there on the backside of a run. So you got to love what Josh Jacobs has been able to do. Emmanuel Wilson has emerged as a great running back. When Marshawn Lloyd comes back, this is going to be a fantastic backfield that the Packers have there. They're going to have a backfield that can rival a lot of other teams' backfields that they have. And end of the day, the Packers have got to keep it balanced in this one. It's not going to be a blowout either way. It's going to be a close game. It might end up as a shootout, and it's going to be, like we talked about before, who turns the football over? Who turns the football over first? That's what this game might come down to.
Yeah, exactly that. I mean, it's oh man, like I feel like both guys are have the potential to put up like 350. You know what I mean? Like you could see Stroud, throwing it every which direction, and then Love with the mix of receivers that they use there. Like this will be. I like games like that. I mean, once in a while I'll like a defensive battle, but like people will say, oh, I love a pitcher's duel or I love a 10-7 football game. Me, not really. Not really. I mean, I'd rather see it be, 47-41 or 48-40, something just chuck the ball up there. Like Brett Favre, right? Brett Favre was like the definition of like, let's try and put as many points on the board as we can. Like I love it or hate it. It costs them at times. Favre would throw he has the most career interceptions ever, but like you live and die with he's a home run hitter is what he is. He's a home run hitter in football, if that makes sense. Like he's
Yep.
do or die. He's swinging for the fences every time. So you live with that. Sometimes you love a guy that'll just protect the football, but it's more fun like that, right? It's more the gunslingers are like that's just more fun to watch.
No, I agree. I agree 100%. This is going to be a great game. I am honestly surprised that it wasn't a primetime game. Like, this just feels like you knew going into the season this was going to be a heck of a matchup. You have two of the best quarterbacks in the game going at it. You got two explosive offenses going at it. This just feels like it should be a Sunday night game. But We get it at noon. That's okay. That's okay on that one. So leading up into this one, just to give some stats here to end it. We got the Texans offense. Overall, they're ranked 6th. Rush offense is 14. Pass offense is 5th. Scoring, they're 14th overall in the NFL. Packers offense is ranked 4 overall. Rush, they're ranked 2. Pass 10th. And scoring, they're ranked tied for 8th right now. Texans defense is ranked 3rd overall, 13th against the rush, 4 against the pass, and they're scoring, they're tied for 15th. And then you got the Packers. They're 18th overall. Against the rush, they're 8th. Against the pass, they're 25th. And against scoring defense, they're tied for 9th there. So that's something to keep an eye on in this one. Texans turnover differential, they're even right now. Packers +9 on the season. They turn over a lot of teams. That's what they do. We don't understand how. We are going to figure that one out, but we don't understand it, but they find a way, right? They find a way. So, Aaron, Packers, Texans, what do we got? Final score from Lambeau in the winter warning game.
This one to me is definitely either way. Like I can go either. Like I might just take it because it's Packers at home. Packers are rolling. I mean, both teams are rolling. I can't say the Packers. They're both rolling. So yeah, I'll go because it's at Lambeau. I think if this was in Houston, I'd take Houston. Like that. It's one of those that's the margin to me. Like it's home field advantage. So I'll say Packers. What's a round number? We'll do 41 Packers, 38 Texans.
I like it. I like
Shootout.
that there. I like the shootout. I like the shootout thought there. Give me 38-31. Give me 38-31 Packers. They're going to win this game. It's going to be a shootout, right? It's going to be a shootout. But we're looking for those keys in this one. The Packers defense making plays, like I'm talking like 31 points they gave up there. It's not a great game in the scoring department, but putting pressure on CJ Stroud, making big plays, winning the turnover battle, getting off the field on 3rd down. And when the Texans get in the red zone, maybe force a field goal here or there, right? That's something you're watching for in this one. So should be a great matchup there in the NFL. Packers, Texans, noon on Sunday on CBS there. So let's get to the rest of the NFL. Let's get to the rest of the NFL here. Do our picks here quick. We're getting close to the 2-hour mark, which is our wrap-up point. So we got to get to that. We got to get our picks in before we get 2 hours. We're on a clock. We're on a clock now. We got 18 minutes to get to the end here. So we saw the Broncos completely just demolish the Saints on yesterday there, 33-10. We have the London game. That's going to be from Wembley Stadium there in London. We have the Jaguars against the Patriots. Drake May, Trevor Lawrence. I don't know if there's anything enticing about this game. I thought the Jaguars couldn't lose overseas. They lost the game overseas, so I don't know what to believe anymore. So I don't know if this is enticing or not, but give me the Jags to right the ship in London. Give me the Jags to right the ship. The Patriots are. I want to see Drake May do me something good. I want to see him do something good there for the Patriots. I mean, he's a good quarterback. I thought he was a good quarterback there, but give me the Jaguars to win this one.
I've told you once, and I've told you again, Trajan. I mean, I've probably picked the Jaguars 10 to 12 times over the last 2 to 3 years. I've been probably one of the most bullish people in the world on the Jaguars. Like ever since that playoff game with the Chiefs, I was like, watch, this team will be a staple in the playoffs. Couldn't be further from the truth. I mean, couldn't have been the worst. That's like Max Kellerman, like I said, with that Brady like falling off the cliff. Like that all-time bad take from me. One of the worst takes ever in mankind. So I can't pick them again. As much as I cannot stand the New England Patriots, and on the flip side of you, I hope Drake May flops. But I think the Patriots do just enough. The Jaguars are a hot mess. I don't know if Doug Peterson makes it through the season. What is it, Sahad Khan or something like that? That's the Jags owner. I can never remember his name, but I butchered that probably. Something Khan. But regardless, his patience is probably wearing thin. We could see a total like this could blow up completely. I mean, who knows? Maybe Trevor Lawrence gets traded at some point. Like we just don't know. We don't know what the future is there. I think the Jags. I mean, they came off their first win last week. I think. Yeah. Oh no, the week before. I stand correct. So they lost to the Bears in London by 19 points. So I just can't pick them at this point. I have no reason to pick the Jags. Not many reasons to pick the Pats, but just the fact that I have no reason to pick the Jags, I'll go Patriots. And then Jags fall to 1-6, which is just crazy. But
Yeah, I gotta agree with you. I gotta agree with you on that one. This is our Jaguars owner here. Hold on. This is our Jaguars owner. This is how he feels about that pick right now. He's upset. He's upset with that one. I
oh,
respect the
that is
stash.
the season. That's
Respect to that stash though. That stash is something right there. You gotta. I mean, not respect to the team that you're throwing out on the field right now, but mad respect to that stash that he's got rolling right there.
Stash is better than the team for
That
sure.
is true. That is true. But that facial expression was like, "This is how I feel right now about this team." Like that must have been last week they took that picture of him there. I mean, come on, there. That was
Oh
oh man.
man.
Looks like a fantastic fellow, but at the same time, he is upset right now with Doug Peterson and Robert Saleh gets fired. But nobody wants to be the first team to fire a coach. But once the floodgates are open, once they're opened, we're going to see a lot, right? If the Eagles continue to be a hot mess, Sirianni's yelling at the fans. See you later. Jerry Jones says he won't fire Mike McCarthy, but what else is he going to do at this point besides fire Dak Prescott? He's going to have to do something. See you later, Mike. He's going to go up to the Jets and be Aaron Rodgers' new buddy up there, Mike
Oh
McCarthy.
man.
Join the New York Packers out there. And I mean, then
Oh.
you look at Doug Peterson. He'll be the next one. It's going to be a boom, boom, boom line of firings there. And I can't wait. I can't wait. It makes storyline.
I'll ask you this. I like, we already talked about we don't want to run too far over the 2 hour mark, but how long does Antonio Pierce last? I don't think he's gonna be like Brady coming in. Brady's not gonna take, I know he's only a 5% share or team owner, 5% stake there, but I just feel like his voice will be loudest in the like one of the louder voices in the room because it's Tom Brady. I just he's a first. They promoted him within. It's not where like I'm not saying the team's great. You have Minshew, but I mean, and I don't know how he's got it. He's not going to last that long, in my opinion. Like unless they right the ship, but whether it's his fault or not, because they have Minshew, which is not your best. That's not the best option in the world. Obviously, he's going to get like Minshew won't be there probably next year, but the coach is probably hanging on for like if they finish like 7-10, it's like you bringing that guy back? I doubt it. I don't know.
I would because you've given me no reason not to. Max Crosby wants to win. That's why he wants out. Devontae Adams doesn't want to be on a losing team. That's why he wants out. It's a rebuild time, right? You have Gardner Minshew starting at quarterback. I
Yeah,
cannot judge a coach who has Gardner Minshew starting at quarterback. You have Jalen Hurts starting at quarterback, and you have the weapons that the Eagles do. I can judge Sirianni all day long. You have Doug Peterson with Trevor Lawrence down there, who everybody believes is still a good quarterback, me included. I think he's a good quarterback. Doug Peterson is a guy I can look at, right? At the end of the day, you have to look at the situation too. I think, and Antonio Pierce is not in a good situation at all. So it's like Robert Saleh. I mean, Saleh is a defensive head coach, and your offense sucks. So you fire Robert Saleh. That makes sense. Like that makes sense at the end of the day. The offense sucks. You have no offensive line. You went out and got all these weapons for Aaron Rodgers, but you have nobody to protect him. And Rodgers complains, so now you get rid of Saleh. Okay, okay. So I mean, will he get fired? Probably, right? That's a trend. Guys just love to fire the first thing that they see, but you got to look at the inner workings. If he had a good quarterback or he had a rookie quarterback, it depends, okay? It's going to depend on if the Raiders think that if they bring a rookie quarterback into the room, if Antonio Pierce can coach him. Like that's where I lean towards. If you think that he can be a coach of a rebuilding young team, that's what I would look at. He found a way to rally the troops last season after what's his name got fired out there and he took over. I mean, he found a way to rally the troops. Can he find a way to rally troops again? That's what we're going to be watching for. I think that's the case there with the Raiders. So we're both picking. You got the Patriots. I got the Jags. Jags are favored by 6 right now. We'll see. We'll see on that one there. We got Seahawks, Falcons in Atlanta. Give me the Falcons. I like the Falcons at home.
Yeah, I do too. Kirko chains, whatever you
Kirk
want to
Cousins.
call doing the swag and surf, Lil Wayne style. Yeah, give me the Falcons in the this is not the Super Bowl or what, they're both NFC. This is not the NFC Championship preview, but nevertheless, give me the Falcons there.
I like the Falcons doing that one. We got Bills, Titans coming up from Orchard Park there. I don't think the Titans will win. I think Josh Allen's going to take care of business. He's got Amari Cooper now. I think Amari Cooper is going to shine with Josh Allen. I really do. You look at his situations he's been in over the years. He shined when he got to Dallas. That shine wore off. He went to Cleveland. That was a mess. Now he's going to a new place once again. I think that shine will be back on. I think Amari Cooper is going to be a standout. I think the Bills win this one.
Yeah, yeah. This is I mean, it's definitely lopsided in this one. You look for one of these games like this to kind of be an upset, but I don't see it here. I just don't think that the Titans have enough offensively. I mean, I still think Will Levis is like off and on playing with injury. Like I think he's banged up and he's just out there because he's kind of like Baker Mayfield to me. Like he'll just lace him up no matter what. I can respect that, but it's not going to be enough. The Bills are just have too much.
Agreed. Agreed on that one. Bills win that one. Next up, we have Bengals and Browns. That will not be a game. Give me the Bengals to win that one. Joe Burrow, with his terrible stats that he has right now, even though he is fifth in the league in passing right now, somehow he's still terrible in some people's eyes out there. Give me the Bengals to win that one. Going away against a team that should just bite the bullet and get rid of Deshaun Watson at this point.
Crazy. Like I thought this year they would get relatively. I'm not going to say win the division, the Browns, but I thought they'd be a game above 500 type of team right now.
If Joe Flacco could do it, you would think that Deshaun Watson healthy would be able to do something.
I think he's got to, like, in all seriousness, like for his own good, he might need some like therapy or whatever. Like I don't, his mental state to me is not
With a
great.
guy, with a guy, with a guy therapist.
Well,
Shots at Deshaun Watson. I'm sorry.
no, don't. You
I'm
can't
sorry. It was open.
you can't hold reserve on that guy. You can't. You
You left
can't.
the door open. I had to take the shot.
I mean, there's a lot. You know what? If it was my show, I'd say something there. But we're gonna bite the tongue, family friendly. Because that guy doesn't take no for an answer. Let's just put it that way. But yeah, I think I don't know if, because I mean we saw Tiger Woods come back after the whole all that crazy stuff went on, and he wasn't quite the same. But like Tiger was so dominant that like I mean you expected the wheels to fall off at some point. Maybe not that quickly or at that stage, but you got to look at that Deshaun Watson thing, kind of the same thing as far as like he was playing at a not, Tiger Woods was the number one in golf, but like Deshaun Watson was a serious, he's probably top 5 QB at one point there with Houston. And like, he has not even remotely found that in Cleveland. Now, would he be a guy that would benefit from a change of scenery? Until his, like your mental state is super important, especially in sports. Like you have to have the utmost confidence there. So I think he's lost it. I don't know what's going to bring it back. Maybe he never, unfortunately, finds it again unfortunately for him, but it's been a rough go. And yeah, this has got to go down as one of the worst contracts in history. You didn't think so going in. I mean, yeah, they gave him the most guaranteed money ever. But okay, Cleveland finally has like the dude. Hasn't been the case. So yeah, long story short, I mean, I do feel for Burrow. That's another guy like Will Levis that just gets thrown around like a rag doll out there. But give me the Bengals. The Bengals need to kind of keep pace, at least as a wild card. I don't think they're catching Baltimore the way Baltimore's playing. And Pittsburgh, who knows? Offensively, they're challenged, but defensively, they're great. So, yeah, Bengals need to keep pace in the tough AFC. The Browns, I mean, even at this point, you win this game, you have to go on like an absolute burner to even do something. Like you said, Amari Cooper no longer there. It's rough going with Cleveland. I think they're done for the year already.
I gotta agree, and I like the. I mean, I don't hate the Browns. That's the problem. I don't hate the Browns. I like Myles Garrett. I like Nick Chubb. I don't hate the Browns, but like Deshaun Watson just stinks, and you just have to accept it. You made a terrible deal, and one guy made a terrible deal, and now your organization's paying for it. Your players are paying for it, and everybody. I mean, he drags down players with him. I think his demeanor on the football field drags them down. You look at guys like Amari Cooper. We talked about it. He looked miserable there in Cleveland. Nick Chubb, when he comes back, he's not going to want to be there anymore. Myles Garrett doesn't want to play for crappy teams, right? He wants to go win a Super Bowl. He's good enough to go on a good team and win a Super Bowl and contribute the way through there. So, I mean, it sucks for those players that they got to deal with this crap. So that's something to keep an eye on there, too, is if the Browns turn into a fire sale here pretty soon. So we got that game. We have another craptastic game. Dolphins, Colts, Joe Flacco. I think he's still at the helm. What's very crazy about Joe Flacco is he leads the team in passing yards already. He's played 3 games, and Anthony Richardson's played in 4 games, and Joe Flacco leads the team in passing yards. So that's something to keep an eye on there too. He's also got 7 touchdowns and 1 interception. So Joe Flacco's still balling out. Give me the Colts to win this game. I think the Colts will win this game.
I mean, what? It's shoot. The Ravens
Odell
back.
Beckham is with the Dolphins.
I don't think he's played. Like, has he played at all? I know he's been banged. I mean, he came into the year banged. That guy is just.
He's questionable. He's questionable for Sunday, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, nothing again. Like, I was never Odell. Actually, I kind of was a hater because I have a good amount of Giants fans near me, and they told me he was the best receiver of all time, which
One catch. That's all we talk about is one catch.
I don't know. When the Ravens gave him that, it was like 1 year, $18 million. I was like, man, you could have given anybody. I mean, why not the DeAndre Hopkins, right, at that point? But yeah, I mean, what is it? The Ravens backup there still playing for Miami, right? That's who's seeing the field at this point, basically. Yeah, Huntley. I mean, I honestly don't think Huntley's that bad. I when he was in Baltimore, he kept them like they were in every game he played. I'm not gonna say he won a ton of games, but like as a formidable backup, like there's a lot of backups I'd rather have Huntley over a lot of these other backups. I mean, they're coming off a win against the Patriots, not a good Patriots team, obviously, but and they're also what is that? Yeah, coming off a bye week. Give me the Dolphins here. Give me the Dolphins. Just because they kind of need this game. Well, they absolutely need this game. And yeah, I just feel like as good as Flacco's played, do I trust the Colts defense? No, I really don't. So it probably won't be high scoring either way, but maybe the Dolphins do just enough. I hope Flacco, excuse me, plays well because as long as Richardson isn't in there, I'm a big Flacco guy. I kind of root for Richardson, but we just that's a guy that has not been able to stay healthy at all. So it is what it is for them.
Agreed with you there. We got a big game up next. We got a big game to talk about. NFC North battle for the top spot in the division. Vikings, Lions in Minneapolis. Lions without Hutchinson in this game, but that's still an explosive offense. That is a fantastic offense. Dan Campbell knows how to rally up the troops. Yes, they're going to be missing Hutchinson a lot, but I like the Lions in this game. I'll be honest with you. Last night, Integrity Sports Network, I was on the Banter show there with Kyle. We're on Thursdays at usually around 8 o'clock there, Central Time. We were talking about it there, too. I said, I like the Lions. I said, I don't think they're going to take a step back. I think, knowing Hutchinson's, he tweeted to the team, he texted the team. They know he's good to go. He's telling them he's going to play in the Super Bowl. It's not going to happen, but he's telling them they're going to play in the Super Bowl, and he's going to be there. I mean, you got to love that. He's going to be there. He's going to rally up the troops. They know that they are still a good football team. Dave Montgomery scores touchdowns when he gets in the red zone. I think there's going to be a lot of trips to the red zone for the Lions in this one. The biggest thing for me, the Vikings have to put a complete game together. That's what they've been failing to do the past couple weeks. Sam Darnold has not been able to play good in the second half. Look at the game against the Packers. Look at the game last week out there against the Jets when they played the Jets there. The Jets almost came back in that game. If Aaron Rodgers doesn't throw a pick, they might have won that football game. So you got to see the Vikings put a full game together. The Lions, they aren't a team that's going to roll over in the first half there like some of these teams have, like the Packers did, like the Jets did. They're going to have to play a full game to beat the Lions, and so far they've struggled to do it. This is going to be a very good game. It's going to be a very good coached game by both teams here, but I like the Lions to win that game on the road in Minnesota, knock the Minnesota Vikings to 1 loss. They weren't going to go undefeated. I'm sorry to say it, Vikings fans. They were going to lose a game eventually, right? This is the game they're going to lose. Lions will take care of business.
Couldn't agree more. I'm not going to say it's a seeing ghosts game for Sam Darnold, but I think he throws 2 picks in this game. I have that feeling. I think Detroit just play. They're a scrappy bunch. Like they're what is it, grit that Dan Campbell always talks about or something like that. One of those terms, like he always throws that around. And the Hard Knocks when I was watching them, a couple of years back now. But yeah, I feel like they'll rally around the fact that Hutchinson went down. I mean, Dan Campbell is talk about we talk about Sirianni, who knows he doesn't motivate anybody to do anything. Dan Campbell motivates literally, I don't want to make a messed up reference, but you know what I mean. I mean, Dan Campbell can motivate anybody. So I feel like the Lions show up in this game. I think, they the fact the Vikings are home, you could talk yourself into them winning this. But like you said, they haven't played like a complete football game in a little bit, and that is something where you see certain teams do that. Eventually, that catches up to you. I don't think they play a complete. I think the offense struggles a little bit here, and yeah, the Vikings get their first loss. I mean, 5-1. You want to win them all, but yeah, Detroit goes to 5-1, and then Minnesota drops to 5-1 after this one.
I agree. I agree with that one there. The point total right now is at 50.5, so they're expecting a shootout there in Minneapolis. Gotta like that. Gotta like that if you are a fan of scoring, I guess. Next up, we got Eagles, Giants. That's going to be in New Jersey for that one at MetLife. Eagles got to get a win here. They got to get a win. They know they got to have a win. I think the offense is going to start playing better eventually. They have to, right? I mean, who knows? But I hope so. I think the Eagles will win this game. I think it's a close one, though. I don't think it's by a blowout fashion.
Yeah, the Eagles have dominated the Giants in recent memory. I look for more of the same. I mean, the Eagles' defense last week was definitely bend but don't break. Not that this Giants offense is great; it's really, really not. Obviously, Daniel Jones is far from a elite quarterback by any stretch. Um, I mean, here's the thing. Let me see if Neighbor or what is it? Neighbors, right? I always want to say Neighbors or something, but Malik Neighbors there. I don't know if he's playing. He didn't play last week, so that's an X factor. Obviously, let me see if I can pull that up real quick. Malik Neighbors. Uh, they're still talking. Practices fully. Okay, so he practiced full. So, but they're still saying he's questionable. That concussion. You don't wish that on anybody, obviously, but if he doesn't play, I don't think they really have a shot. If he plays, this game could be the way the Eagles are playing right now. This could be like a wire to wire game. Unfortunately, I still think the Eagles edge the Giants out here. If it's not pretty, I mean, it's going to get louder and louder for Nick Sirianni. He was at practice playing many men the other day. I'm just like this guy is. He just doesn't. I mean, I don't know if it was like I know Saquon likes that song, everybody likes that song really, but it's it definitely if he didn't know what he was doing there, like he knew the cameras would be on him after that because he's yelling at the fans, he's kind of coming unglued. I mean, he gets a haircut to where he looks like he's like homeless or something. I don't know what's going on with him. He's kind of going through a crisis, I think. But like I said, the Giants aren't very good, so the Eagles will play back-to-back pretty crappy teams here. They'll get the win. Saquon coming home party. I hope he kind of runs all over them just to add insult to injury to the Giants, which is always fun. So yeah, give me the Eagles. Probably by guess I'll be a little bullish by 10. I'll say by 10.
Okay. Okay. I like that one. I like that one. They're giving it 3. They're giving the Eagles 3
Oh
right
wow.
now.
Wow. Maybe I should retract that, but
they're talking close game there. They're talking close game. Shouldn't be a close game, but expected to be a close game, I guess, there. So next up, Raiders, Rams. Talk about a dumpster fire of a game there. I think in this one, if the Rams lose this game, I think they go on a little bit of a selling spree. Like they start selling off some of the older contracts. Maybe a guy like Cooper Cup, maybe some guys off the defense there. I don't know what they're going to move yet. You're not going to move like Puka Nakua or anything like that. He's on the injured reserve list anyways, but you're not moving the young pieces. We talked about Stafford a while ago getting moved. I don't know if that would be a crazy, outlandish thing to talk about, but I think it'll be a fire sale for the Rams if they lose this game to the Raiders. Give me the Rams to win this one, though. It's at SoFi. The Raiders are a hot mess now. They don't even have Devontae Adams anymore. He didn't even want to play, right? He was sitting out with an injury in quotation marks there. So I'm looking at the Rams in this one. They're going to win this one. It's going to be close. They have them favored by 7 right now, but I think it's going to be a close one.
I'm trying to see. Aiden O'Connell played last week. Is Minshew out again?
Let's see. Injuries. Let's see. Gardner, Minshew. Well, I don't see anything about Gardner Minshew being on the injury report.
Maybe he's just benched. I didn't hear.
He's just benched. Aiden O'Connell is the starter right now, and Gardner Minshew is listed as the backup.
Ah, jeez. I kind of feel for Minshew, but I mean, it's ultimately that's on him. Yeah, this talk about a dumpster fire of a game in general, right? With the Rams, with all the injury concerns, and then like you said, the Raiders are just hot trash. I mean, Raiders get blown out by Pittsburgh, which I thought would be like a close, grinded out game, which either team could have won that, but couldn't be further from the truth. They lose 32-13. Let me see one thing real quick. Aiden O'Connell, 27 of 40, touchdown and a pick. Not terrible. I'm with you here. The more I think about it, I think Stafford does just enough, but I wouldn't be shocked. Now the rumor is let's say if the Giants were to beat the Eagles, like they're saying if the Giants can hover around like 500, that they're going to make a play at Stafford, which would be interesting. Just because it's like, I mean, what, you benched Daniel Jones, but I think this is the last year technically the Giants can like be stuck with Daniel Jones. So I guess they could realistically just move him to the bench, but I don't know. It depends what the Rams want for Stafford. Like if you're giving up a whole, boatload, it's not worth it at this point. But yeah, give me the long story short. I have a feeling Stafford really might get moved. I mean, I I don't think they're trending in the right direction, even when I don't know. Something about that Rams team I think fell off ever since the Super Bowl. So give me the Rams to win this game, but for Stafford's sake, I hope he kind of goes somewhere else and at least has a run at a team that is closer to contention. I'll put it that way.
Go to the Steelers. Go to the Steelers.
Cool.
That would be a Super Bowl contender right off the bat. So next up, we have Panthers, Commanders, 3:05 start there. Commanders are going to win that one. They'll win that one going away. Jaden Daniels has been fantastic. He'll continue to be fantastic. Give me the Commanders to win that one.
Yeah, there's pretty much no way you see the Panthers winning this game. I think their defense is like worst. They give up 20 points before halftime. I heard that today. They give up 20 points before halftime every game, which is like they're just. I mean, they have no offense, so that doesn't help. So yeah, I mean, Panthers are a mess. Very easily could be the number one pick again next year. So yeah, give me the not the who losing track here. Commanders. Yeah, unfortunately the Commander, and then it's I mean they're leading the NFC East, and it looks like they're going to continue to do so.
They're going to run that East here pretty soon. Next up, we have the Chiefs and 49ers. That should be a good one. Chiefs coming off a bye. They're really good off the bye week. 49ers have struggled a little bit this year. I'm going to take the Chiefs. I'm going to take the Chiefs on the road in Santa Clara. They're good off the bye. I think they move to 6-0 after this one.
This is another one to me. This feels like the Vikings-Lions game a little bit just because like everything points to the Chiefs winning, but I think the 49ers at home get them. Revenge game from the Super Bowl. It's 49ers need to get right. They just haven't been right all year. I mean, McCaffrey's still not in there, but I think it'll be close, and if it is close, you very well might be right. This is not one of those like I feel confident about because it's the Chiefs. They find ways to win, but it's hard playing out there too. It's hard to play out there. So give me San Fran and like literally like by a field goal or something like that.
That's what it spreads at 2 right now. The spread's at 2 favoring the 49ers right now. So they're right with you. This is another one. This is the night game. Jets, Steelers. Jets are favored by 2. It's in Pittsburgh. I don't feel good about Russell Wilson starting for the Steelers. I'll be honest with you. I don't feel good about it. I said it last night, like I said before, on Integrity Sports Network, there, the Banter Sports Show. I was talking about it there too. I said, I don't feel good about Russell Wilson starting. I would have not went away from Justin Fields. They went away from him. Now we see Russell Wilson getting the start. The Jets, they get Devontae Adams. Does that change that team? I don't think so. The offensive line still sucks, so we still have to figure out that if you are the Jets. Give me the Steelers to win that game at home against the Jets. It's like a nail. It's like a nail in that coffin. That's just gonna put them Jets away.
Oh man, I both team. I want to root against because I hate the Steelers for the fact that they did go with you were winning games with. I hate when a team will kick somebody to the curb for just not being elite. Basically, like that bothers me because he's been there. He won. To all reports, he won the job and over the summer. Like he's been the guy for this long, and now you're just gonna he hasn't played that that's I get it to a certain degree, but like your option isn't that great. It's not like you're going from Justin Fields to Tom Brady. Like you're going from Justin Fields to a Russell Wilson where he had a good statistical year last year, but they didn't win many games. I just hate that. And then on the opposite side, it's like, this Jets team is very hard to like at this point. I didn't mind when Saleh was there because I thought Saleh, he came into a dumpster fire and he made that defense elite. Like they're a top 5 defense now, year in and year out. At least top 10 year in and year out. So I don't know. I've been opposing you a lot today, but I'm gonna roll Jets only because they got Devontae Adams, and I think they know they absolutely need to win this. I mean, you're 2-4. You're in a vulnerable spot, and Steelers are hard to beat at home, but they lost that game to Dallas. So after that game, I have my question marks, even though like I know their offense didn't do much. I don't Russell Wilson right out of the gate, game one, rusty probably. I think the Packers or I'm sorry, the Jets will outlast the Steelers here. But yeah, oh man, this is I like Russ, but I don't like how the Steelers are operating this team. I don't.
I gotta agree. I can't agree more. I can't agree more with that. You gave me no reason outside of if you want the big play, right? And I don't think Justin Fields can make the big play. I saw it at Ohio State. I know he can make a deep throw. So what is holding him back? I don't know. Maybe it's the last little bit of development that he has to do at the next level. I don't know yet. But something is holding him back from that aspect because I know he can do it. So I guess we'll see. Russell Wilson looks like he's getting the start for the Steelers against the Jets. So that's going to be I don't even know if it's going to be a good game. It might be a terrible game. We'll wait and see on that one. We'll wait and see. Both offenses have had their problems. Both defenses are good. It might be like a 10-7 finish. I don't know. We might wait and see and find out the hard way. Monday night, we got a little bit of a double header there, I guess you could say, on Monday night. We got the Ravens and the Buccaneers starting at 7:15. I like the Bucks. Give me the Bucks at home. I'm gonna take the Buccaneers at home. Baker Mayfield in prime time to just I don't know if they find a way to slow down Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson, which is tough. But if you find a way to slow down that run game and make Lamar Jackson throw the football, I like the Bucks in that game.
Oh man, this is the Ravens are on an absolute. I mean, they start 0-2 and then win the next 4. So they're like one of the hottest teams in the NFL right now. Bucks have kind of teetered. I mean, they beat the Eagles decisively, then they lose in overtime to the Falcons, and then they beat the crap out of the Saints, which the Saints don't have a quarterback. Um, man, this is tough. This is a tough one. I'll go with you on this one. I don't feel great about it because, like I said, the Ravens are on a burner right now. Um, but going down to Tampa Bay, sometimes a tricky place to pull off a win. Baker's got to play good. Like he can't turn the ball over in this game. You can't give Baltimore a lot of more chances than they're going to have. And like you said, you touched on it perfectly there. You cannot let Derrick Henry have a field. If Derrick Henry has a field day, it's like forget it. The Bucks lose this game. But if you keep him remotely in check, Bucks have a good chance. And like I said, it's going to take pretty much. I think it's going to take a near perfect game just because of how Baltimore is clicking on offense. But you expect them to kind of at least run into some hardship at some point. And I feel like this week they'll drop this one.
Okay. Okay. Next up, the 8 o'clock game. Last one here. We got the Chargers and the Cardinals on Monday night in Glendale. Chargers favored by 2. I'm gonna take the Cardinals. I'm gonna take the Cardinals to win that game. Little bounce back game after the Packers just took care of it. Give me the Cardinals to win that game against the Chargers. I like that.
Man, this is a tough. This might be the toughest one so far, honestly. I mean, maybe Packers, Texans. That one is and 49ers Chiefs. But give me Harbaugh's having heart problems. Got to pull for him in that respect. I think they rally around Harbaugh. Guy, it eats, lives, breathes football. So give me the Chargers in a close one, like a 2-point game. They say spread. Give me him by give me a weird score. Give me him by 4.
By 4.
Something
Interesting.
weird happens. Yeah.
That's a weird one right there. And it says on ESPN Plus only at the moment. So I wonder if that's going to get changed. It better, because otherwise there's going to be a lot of ticked off fans out there if they have to get ESPN Plus just to watch that game there. So something to keep an eye on there. But there's our picks for the week there. Just a little tidbit to end it here. Wisconsin women's hockey team picked up a 5-0 win over Minnesota tonight. So great stuff there. Wisconsin's women's hockey picking up a massive win over number 3 Minnesota. So number 1 Wisconsin, number 3 Minnesota. A great way to start it off there. Gotta love that there. And then also we touched on it early on in the show. I just lost the post here. I'm gonna find the post again and we'll talk about it next time. The NCAA did reply to Tony Bennet. And the NCAA did come out with a quote to Tony Bennet. Let's see if I can find it here real fast. If I find it, I find it. If I don't, I don't. Oh, here we go. NCAA issues response to Tony Bennet amid calls for change in college basketball. So they came out and they said the NCAA believes change in college sports is long overdue and is pursuing significant reforms such as the expansion of core guaranteed benefits for student athletes that include health insurance, scholarships, academic counseling, mental health support, and career preparation. The association is also advancing a landmark settlement that would allow schools to deliver direct financial benefits to student athletes. However, there are some issues that NCAA cannot address alone, and the association looks forward to working with Congress to make needed changes in the best interest of all student athletes and college sports. The game, and then it goes on to talk about what Tony Bennett had to say there. They didn't address jack diddly crap to what Tony Bennett said. Yes, all those things that they're saying that they're working for are great. Getting mental health support for these athletes, that's great. Career preparation, that's fantastic. Academic counseling, great. Health insurance, great. Scholarships, great. That's all great. Fine, dandy, fantastic. Gotta love it. You didn't address anything that Tony Bennett said about the college landscape changing with the transfer portal and everything like that. You didn't address nothing in there. You basically are saying that's out of your hands at this point. So you didn't address crap. This irritates me, but that's for another day, Aaron. That's for another day there, because we're past our 2-hour mark here. If we're on the radio, we would have been booted off already and they would have kicked us to some AM station at this point. So, Aaron, anything else we got to wrap up here for the week?
I don't want to keep us long, but did you see about the NFL arrest? Former player NFL arrest. Did you see about that?
Jay Cutler making the noise in the NFL right now.
I had to, right?
Armed, DUI. He's got a little bit of everything going on. Bears being Bears. That's all I know. The Bears will be the Bears.
Guy was a flop on the field and off the field. I mean,
it's a struggle. It's a struggle right there.
Talk about a guy that just didn't highway robbery, right? Like, I remember that game he came out, he's half injured and he's on the bike. Remember that? He's on the bike on the sideline, just couldn't care. I mean, you talk about a guy that just checked out. He couldn't care. He didn't even know a football game was still going on. He's whatever.
Yeah.
Mailed it in.
Yes, 100% agree. 100% agree.
Just had to poke fun there because everybody every year was, Jay Cutler, this is the year, and every year is the same. Maybe he'll get you the playoffs and then crash and burn.
Jay Cutler gonna do Jay Cutler things. That's all I know. The Bears will always be the Bears, no matter if they're retired players or not. They will always be major screw ups. So, with that, let's get out of here. And let's get out of here for the weekend. We can't wait. We got Badgers Northwestern. We got the Packers Texans. Some great games going on. Badgers men's hockey will be in action over the weekend there. Make sure you're coming back on Sunday as Hunter's going to join us. He's going to talk about everything that has to do with the men's hockey team, the women's hockey team, everything in between. We're going to grill him with questions there. And we got lots to get into with the recaps of the games come Sunday there. The NFL with the Packers and Texans, and then looking at the Badgers Northwestern. Hopefully some great wins over the weekend there. So with that, for Aaron and myself, this has been Wisconsin Sports on the Go with Trage. Thank you guys for listening. I hope you guys enjoyed the rest of your night and weekend. But until we talk to you guys again on Sunday, see ya.